This man spent 11 years finally clearing a game, never expecting that the moment he beat it, the game world would invade reality. All humans became players. Kang Jin-hyuk, as the only player who had cleared the game and mastered its secrets, immediately realized this was a chance to change his destiny. While everyone else was confused, he had already secured hidden items from the start, and was first to complete hidden achievements in the game, obtaining the strongest skill from his previous playthrough. Just moments ago, Kang Jin-hyuk was still a small-time streamer. He mainly played a trash game called Tower of Trials. It was called trash because the game was insanely difficult. Not only did it have labyrinths stretching over 10,000 kilometers, it also had bosses so powerful they were nearly invincible. Because it was too hard, many players gave up. Only Kang Jin-hyuk spent 11 years, finally reaching the 50th floor, when he received the system's completion notification. There was also an announcement that the game would be updated. But Kang Jin-hyuk had planned to upload his completion video and then say goodbye to this torturous game. His days of streaming 12 hours a month to earn 3,000 bills needed to change. But when he started his stream, ready to say farewell, another stream caught his attention. In the footage, the Tower of Trials from the game had actually appeared in the real world, along with a notification that the Tower of Trials update was complete. All humans became players and received notice that if they didn't clear it within 90 days, humanity would perish. Faced with the real anomaly appearing in reality, Kang Jin-hyuk didn't waste time pondering the reasons, but quickly made his decision and took action. He had clearing experience. As long as he followed his previous experience, he could clear it again. And now he first needed to obtain a rare item. Soon, Kang Jin-hyuk arrived at an underground shop. Tower of Trials was a virtual reality game. The game had some real-world locations, and this was where a hidden item would spawn. The moment he arrived, Kang Jin-hyuk was prompted that he had entered an event area. There were quite a few people around, and Kang Jin-hyuk immediately understood. These people had also played Tower of Trials to some extent. But then someone called out to Kang Jin-hyuk. It was Lee Jong-soo, a manager from his streaming company. Lee Jong-soo knew Kang Jin-hyuk was skilled at this game and wanted to cozy up to him for information. He also tried to leverage the streaming contract to control Kang Jin-hyuk, remembering how Lee Jong-soo used to exploit small streamers like them. Kang Jin-hyuk gave him a direct headbutt, while coldly saying, "Lee Jong-soo, the world has changed. Show some respect when you speak to me from now on." Kang Jin-hyuk was secretly pleased and about to do it again when the water in the nearby fountain began to boil. The next second, a water column shot skyward. Among lush branches and leaves, a giant tree appeared out of nowhere in the fountain. Kang Jin-hyuk smiled. Just like in his memory, the mangrove of greed that bore treasures had appeared. At this moment, fruits began growing on the tree. These were fruits that could increase attribute points, but there were only 4, immediately attracting everyone's covetous attention. Then everyone rushed forward madly. Meanwhile, Lee Jong-soo cursed that they could have teamed up, but now the opportunity was lost. Kang Jin-hyuk just sneered, "Noob, don't try to boss around this expert." Soon, all fruits from the greed mangrove were picked. Some had already eaten them and gained attribute points. Suddenly, the next second, the previously calm the greed mangrove became agitated. Only then did players realize that after eating all the fruits, the greed mangrove would attack nearby people, while everyone fled in panic. Only Kang Jin-hyuk said to Lee Jong-soo, who was about to run away, "The real treasure hasn't appeared yet. Cooperate with me and get it." Lee Jong-soo thought for a moment, then smiled and nodded. Kang Jin-hyuk said, "First we need to split up and approach it from 2 sides." Lee Jong-soo immediately understood this was to confuse its vision. "The treasure is in the trunk. When we act, neither of us can hesitate, or we're done for." Lee Jong-soo nodded. The next second, Kang Jin-hyuk shouted, "Now!" and started running. But when the tree roots attacked Kang Jin-hyuk, Lee Jong-soo was nowhere to be seen. Lee Jong-soo mocked, "Idiot, I just wanted you to be the decoy." But Kang Jin-hyuk had anticipated this and smiled. The next second, the tree roots that were originally attacking Kang Jin-hyuk directly went after Lee Jong-soo in the distance. "You standing far away are the real decoy, scumbag. Now I should get the treasure." Inside the greed mangrove's trunk was an excellent item that enhanced attributes. However, the greed mangrove's vines were extremely dangerous. But Kang Jin-hyuk, as a gaming expert, just sidestepped once, making the vines crash into each other, and attack the greed mangrove itself. With the impact, the greed mangrove's weak point, the mangrove core, was also exposed, just as he had experienced in the game. Then Kang Jin-hyuk's eyes flashed with cold light as he picked up a sharp stick from the ground, completely unaffected by the greed mangrove's frenzied attacks. Dodging continuously, he was about to reach the greed mangrove. But then a blue light appeared, followed by swarms of butterflies flying from the greed mangrove. Kang Jin-hyuk immediately recognized these as sleep butterflies that could make people drowsy. He immediately covered his mouth and nose. As long as he held his breath, he could avoid the butterflies' effects. Then with a thrust, Kang Jin-hyuk drove the wooden spike deep into the red core. At the same time, he raised one hand, instantly grabbing for something in the trunk. Leaves withered and vines dried up. The greed mangrove was defeated. The system notified that Kang Jin-hyuk, as the first person to defeat the greed mangrove, his achievement could dominate the Hall of Fame for a day. But to avoid exposing his identity, He chose anonymous display. Then he reached forward, taking a round bead from the dead the Greed Mangrove. This was the excellent item he sought. The Greed Mangrove Essence Wood Pill. The Greed Mangrove's ordinary fruits could only increase 3 random attribute points, but the Wood Pill could directly add 12 reward points. Players gained 3 reward points per level up. 1 Wood Pill was equivalent to making Kang Jin-hyuk gain 4 levels. After Kang Jin-hyuk swallowed the Wood Pill, his attribute panel directly gained 12 reward points. Now he was the strongest first-level player. An hour later, Kang Jin-hyuk's video of clearing the Greed Mangrove was posted online by the system, immediately causing an online uproar. At the same time, people offered high prices wanting to contact the player who cleared the Greed Mangrove. The 1 billion salary made Kang Jin-hyuk somewhat tempted, but then he dismissed the thought. Although his life was poor as the only clearing player, the most important thing he had was information monopoly, which was priceless. Next, he would use his information to obtain the next treasure, affected by the Tower of Trial's appearance. Historical relics outside the tower would gradually become legendary relics. They're not real, of course. Legendary relics that have powers are inside the tower. The ones outside the tower are replicas. In other words, they're copied versions. The place to obtain many legendary relics was the city's museum. However, there was only one museum in the entire city, so people coveting relics would probably gather there. And there would definitely be experts among them. Kang Jin-hyuk pushed open the door. The system notified he had entered an event area. It was very quiet around. But the next second, Kang Jin-hyuk's expression changed. A charred corpse appeared before him. Indeed, experts had arrived before him, and their purpose should all be for the legendary relic called the Great Map. This map recorded the Tower of Trial's various labyrinths, ruins, equipment, and monsters. Although it only had information for the first 10 floors, it was enough to drive people crazy. But actually, there was another legendary relic more precious than the map hidden here. On the museum's second floor, people who came to snatch legendary relics were already in chaos. An old man with fire skills and a young man with petrification skills were fighting. The old man just pointed lightly, and the man was instantly engulfed in flames. So the old man turned to go upstairs, saying, "Leave the rest to you, Lee Yuri." Lee Yuri just touched a sculpture, summoning a powerful kobold. Lee Yuri warned the looters in front of her to put everything down. These were all hers. But Kang Jin-hyuk looked around indifferently, directly picking up a precious ancient painting in front of her. Being slapped in the face, Lee Yuri said with a dark expression, "Want to test how sharp my blade is?" She then sneered, "Go, kill him." The kobold swung its weapon, charging straight at Kang Jin-hyuk. But Kang Jin-hyuk just threw a punch, directly knocking the kobold's weapon away, while others were shocked. Lee Yuri was even more stunned. Kang Jin-hyuk just smiled and said, "Seems your blade isn't that sharp." Lee Yuri told Kang Jin-hyuk not to get cocky. Then she took out 4 more statues from her backpack. The 4 statues instantly transformed into 4 kobolds with different weapons. "I admit I underestimated you earlier, but now, how about this?" Lee Yuri could control 5 kobolds with very little magic, which slightly surprised Kang Jin-hyuk. Some skill, but not much. Probably just a bit better than average. Lee Yuri snorted, coldly, pretentious, really annoying. Kang Jin-hyuk said helplessly, "In that case, watch carefully at the gap between you and me." Saying this, he picked up the ancient painting in his hand, throwing it up while instantly infusing it with magic. The next second, in brilliant golden light, a massive tiger appeared beside Kang Jin-hyuk. Lee Yuri turned pale with shock, while the nearby kobolds also whimpered and growled. Kang Jin-hyuk chuckled lightly. Mere desert jackals dare to bare their teeth at the Mountain Lord. Then he gestured. "Mountain Lord, eat them all up." Instantly, the Mountain Lord's massive tiger claws struck, defeating 1 kobold with just 1 hit. Then the Mountain Lord opened its bloody maw. Tearing and biting, all kobolds died on the spot. Lee Yuri was now nearly suffocating. She had seen various ways of using legendary relics, but someone this overwhelmingly powerful was a first. Facing the Mountain Lord's intimidation, Lee Yuri collapsed directly to the ground. Then Kang Jin-hyuk came before Lee Yuri, just saying, "Hand it over, give me Tutankhamun's mask." Lee Yuri still wanted to resist, but she was met with the Mountain Lord's roar. So Kang Jin-hyuk successfully obtained the relic mask he wanted. Lee Yuri asked if Kang Jin-hyuk came here for that great map. Kang Jin-hyuk replied, "None of your business." Then stroking the Mountain Lord, he had it stay here to watch everyone, while he prepared to go to the 3rd floor. Time to get the Tower of Trial's strongest skill. When Kang Jin-hyuk came to the 3rd floor to collect legendary relics, he didn't expect an old man to be there too. There was also a barrier ahead. The old man muttered that this was his first time seeing this kind of barrier. Neither physical attacks nor magic attacks were effective. Hearing this, Kang Jin-hyuk reached forward. He sensed this was actually a reverse magic barrier. A string of letters appeared in his mind. "I know a way to break this barrier, but I have a condition. You must keep using fire magic. This way the barrier can be weakened. As for duration, it's until I go in and bring out the legendary relic I need." The old man smiled darkly. This sounded like making him a tool. "You don't have to trust me, but this is the only way. I can give you the relic map you want, and it's almost dawn. You don't want to return empty-handed." Thinking that the government should take action soon, rather than return empty-handed, it was better to gamble. The old man finally sighed helplessly, just saying, "Remember to bring me the map." Fire appeared in his hands. The next second he attacked the barrier fiercely. Taking this opportunity, Kang Jinyuk silently recited the string of letters he had obtained. Carpo. Instantly arriving on the other side of the barrier. The old man outside urged Kang Jinyuk to hurry. Kang Jinyuk nodded, indicating he would. But he inadvertently sneered, provided it was within his capabilities. The legendary relics on the third floor hadn't been damaged, except for one broken cabinet. Kang Jinyuk knew who did it and who set up the barrier, but he smiled slightly. The other party took what they thought was the precious legendary relic, not knowing the most precious thing was still here. He came before a legendary relic called Sangpyeong Tongbo. This was the final piece of the puzzle for creating his strongest skill. The other materials were the Persian ritual mold and the right eye from Tutankhamun's mask. Kang Jinyuk put the two together, instantly releasing golden light. The system notified that two legendary relics were reacting. This was a system notification that only appeared when suitable legendary relics combined. It also told Kang Jinyuk that if he continued, he would pay a corresponding price. Kang Jinyuk tore off the rope of Sangpyeong Tongbo, then threw it into the golden light. 3 legendary relics were reacting. The system voice sounded, "Congratulations on successfully combining legendary relics with extremely low success rate. You have obtained SS grade legendary relic Eye of Truth." The Eye of Truth could view other players' panels and had 3 chances daily to determine if players were telling the truth. This was the most powerful of the 5 eyes in the game, but Kang Jinyuk's purpose here wasn't just this. Then, with the completion notification of the hidden quest to obtain S-grade equipment through 3 B-grade or lower equipment, the opportunity had been achieved. Kang Jinyuk knew he was about to obtain a skill that could copy and save countless abilities in the world, and become the strongest player in Tower of Trials. His unique skill for clearing fusion. The acquisition difficulty was impossibly high, and as long as quest conditions were met, he could copy other players' skills. At this time, the old man outside urged Kang Jinyuk to hurry. Kang Jinyuk's eyes flashed with golden light. The condition for copying the old man's skill was to make him show genuine emotion. In other words, just anger him. Kang Jinyuk turned to the old man and said, "You can stop using your skill now, you actually don't need to do that." The old man was puzzled why he said earlier that the prerequisite for entering the barrier was continuous skill use. While he wondered, Kang Jinyuk whispered Carpo, and the barrier disappeared. The barrier earlier could only be dispelled with this incantation, and making the old man use his skill was just a ruse, to deplete the old man's internal magic. Now with little magic left, insurance was set. Next was to anger him. The great map in front of Kang Jinyuk contained information about all treasures on the first 10 floors of Tower of Trials. Useful to others, but useless to him who knew the game inside out. So Kang Jinyuk took out a lighter. The old man immediately panicked and shouted, "Kang Jinyuk, what are you doing?" Kang Jinyuk just whispered, "I don't need this map." Instantly flames rose from below the map. No matter who got this map, they could threaten Kang Jinyuk's advantage, so the safest method was to destroy it. Seeing such a precious map destroyed like this, the old man was completely enraged. He wanted to roast this kid. Feeling the old man's anger, the system notified Kang Jinyuk that copy conditions were met. Fire element skill copied successfully. Fire element could use flames and increase body resistance to fire, a decent skill. At this time, the old man activated fire element skill again. "But don't you understand why I burned the map?" Kang Jinyuk sneered. The next second, fire element skill activated. The map's flame shot skyward. Clearly the same skill as his own, but the old man felt the opponent's power was worlds apart from his own. Realizing the opponent didn't even need the map, he swallowed and asked, "Who exactly are you? If you want to climb the tower smoothly in the future, obediently listen to me. As for you and that little girl Lee Yuri on the 2nd floor, you should level up first. I'll contact you later." Soon after, Kang Jinyuk walked out of the museum alone. This trip was very rewarding, and he began planning for the future. With the fusion skill able to copy other skills, he first needed to rank all abilities, then prioritize copying the skills he needed most. Although he couldn't monopolize all opportunities, he didn't want to miss any of the strongest, most important skills. His stomach rumbled with hunger. Kang Jinyuk came to a fast food restaurant. The restaurant's TV was reporting news about the invasion of legendary relic storage locations, and legendary relic storage places worldwide had encountered the same situation. The TV then showed a recording. It was footage of him fighting others. While people in the restaurant were shocked at how strong someone could be, the news continued reporting that officials had investigated what Tower of Trials actually was, and used awakened ability users to establish a new department, the Awakener Association. From this, Kang Jinyuk understood officials had completely accepted the reality of the world becoming a game. Then a new figure appeared on the news. This person introduced himself as Han Sangjin, president of the Awakener Association. Han Sangjin's purpose was to recruit capable awakeners to serve officials, with a base salary starting at 60 million. However, excluding the man who appeared on TV earlier, Han Sangjin solemnly said, In my capacity as president, I propose to that Awakener. As long as you can join us, we're willing to meet all your conditions. I understand Awakener Association President Han Sangjin came specifically for me, but they underestimate me. One highly skilled player I assess more valuable than 100 average players. Tonight, at 7, Tower of Trials would fully open. The scene changed. Tower of Trials had opened. This is exactly like the game I played, and almost everyone here is a newbie. As a tower entry commemoration, the tower system gave everyone 100 gold coins. Gold coins were the currency inside the tower. Players could earn them by uploading their battle videos. Every 10,000 views earned 100 gold coins. Players of different levels paid different handling fees. Also, players could only use live stream functions when fighting boss monsters leading to the next floor. When players were reported for fake views or other violations, the tower system would take corresponding punitive measures. This was the only bridge connecting climbers and ordinary tower outside residents. The broadcast system. The higher a player's clearing probability, the more fans and views they got. This was the most interesting setting in Tower of Trials. Understanding the game rules, everyone eagerly rushed in, wanting to secure prime positions for maximum benefit. Earning gold coins isn't hard for me. I don't want to leak my exclusive information by uploading videos first. I've already planned my first step. It's a special path completely different from others. Previously, when attacking Tower of Trials' 30th floor, I encountered a dead end. To enter the next floor, I turned the dozens of floors below upside down, desperately collecting hidden information fragments. Finally, I found the answer in a ruin. Only then did I understand that the character I had painstakingly trained for years was doomed from the start. To clear the game, I had to restart, but this character took 5 years. Deleting meant all efforts were wasted, but without doing so, clearing was impossible. Finally, he gritted his teeth and made the decision. Delete and restart. Now, facing the challenge after clearing, he went straight to the source that made him restart. A labyrinth called Labyrinthos. To conquer the 30th floor later, a core key was in this labyrinth. Thinking about what was inside gave Kang Jin-hyuk a headache. But his body honestly pushed open the door. Entering the labyrinth, blue dots of light illuminated the dim environment. Kang Jin-hyuk reached out and a luminous moth landed on his hand. But his expression turned cold. Looking behind him at a group of people who had appeared, he said, "Who are you?" The leader, a woman, immediately explained they saw the labyrinth door was open and came in. The truth was, they had noticed Kang Jin-hyuk opening the labyrinth. Seeing him alone, they planned to kill him for his treasure. Kang Jin-hyuk saw through their intentions, first activating Eye of Truth to see if they had any use in Park Hana's panel information. There was actually an interesting skill that could build rapport with others. Kang Jin-hyuk remembered he might need it against another woman. He immediately decided to copy this commune skill. The copy condition was to act together with Park Hana for 240 hours. Seeing this, Kang Jin-hyuk suppressed his killing intent and began enthusiastically introducing himself. Park Hana and others also introduced themselves one by one, but Kang Jin-hyuk was ready to betray his teammates at any time. At this moment, Park Hana moved closer to Kang Jin-hyuk, starting to ask what level he had reached when playing this game before. As she spoke, she linked arms with Kang Jin-hyuk. Commune skill activated. The atmosphere between them instantly became much closer. After learning how the commune skill worked, Kang Jin-hyuk ruthlessly pushed her away. Park Hana looked embarrassed, still confused why this guy wasn't affected by her skill. She asked again about what monsters and features this labyrinth had. Kang Jin-hyuk nodded and said, "This labyrinth's biggest feature is that it changes position every so often." Others didn't seem to understand what this meant. The next second, violent tremors came from all around. Everyone was terrified. They saw stone pillars on the surrounding walls begin to move. The drastic changes caught everyone off guard. When the tremors stopped, they found some people had disappeared in the previous changes. Someone questioned that there shouldn't be such difficult labyrinths on Tower of Trials' first floor. Park Hana quickly had the team member with directional sensing lead them out. But this woman told Park Hana her skill couldn't activate. Kang Jin-hyuk looked at these idiots, just thinking that thing should appear soon. But then Park Hana looked accusingly, stepping forward to question Kang Jin-hyuk why he didn't tell them in advance about the labyrinth's changes, still blaming Kang Jin-hyuk for nearly getting them killed. Faced with everyone's accusations, Kang Jin-hyuk sneered, "Did I ask you to follow me in?" Someone got angry hearing this and was about to fight. But the next second, with a whooshing sound, a bloody giant axe embedded in the wall. As that person fell with a crash, a bull's roar echoed as a terrifying minotaur appeared before everyone. Feeling the minotaur's intimidation, Park Hana despaired, but saw Kang Jin-hyuk suddenly charge forward. Everyone was horrified as the minotaur raised its giant axe aimed at Kang Jin-hyuk, then brought it down. Kang Jin-hyuk barely dodged, while Kang Jin-hyuk performed extreme dodging. A system notification came, "You've acquired the hidden stat gap." This was the key he came to get. The reason Kang Jin-hyuk challenged the boss but only dodged without attacking was, each successful dodge gained 0.05 gap attribute points. Every 3 gap points could close a 1-level difference with higher level monsters. This life-risking method was extremely dangerous, but a level 1 player could rapidly grow through this method. Kang Jin-hyuk, as a former clearing expert, had completely mastered the Minotaur's attack patterns. But he wasn't satisfied yet. He wanted to pursue the extreme dodge that could gain one gap point at once. A deadly strikes extreme dodge. This operation left Park Hana and others who had wanted to kill Kang Jin-hyuk stunned. They were already planning to quietly slip away. But where do you think you're going? Kang Jin-hyuk pointed to the Minotaur behind him and said, "Dodging this guy's attacks gives hidden skills. Good things should be shared, right?" The next second, the Minotaur swung its giant axe, instantly swinging toward several people. In the whooshing sound, the wall was instantly carved with a huge gash in the pool of blood. Kang Jin-hyuk still casually said to Park Hana, "You need to run around, staying still won't work." Then said to the Minotaur, "Right?" The Minotaur looked at Kang Jin-hyuk in front of it, preparing to attack again. But then violent tremors came from all around. It was time for the labyrinth to change positions again. Layer upon layer of walls instantly separated the Minotaur from Kang Jin-hyuk and others. The Minotaur could only roar in impotent rage. On the other side, seeing only 2 people left on their side, Park Hana asked in shock, "That guy won't catch up, will he?" But Kang Jin-hyuk said, "I touched the luminous moth's powder, it will keep attracting the Minotaur to chase us." "Are you crazy? Why did you do this?" Kang Jin-hyuk gave Park Hana a look like she was an idiot, of course to increase reward points. Each time the labyrinth changed, he could rest. Then wait for the Minotaur to chase over and continue dodging. Park Hana was shocked, asking how many times they'd have to repeat this before it ended. "Until we leave the labyrinth, exactly 1 month." Thinking about staying in this hellish place for 30 days, Park Hana broke down. They planned to get away from Kang Jin-hyuk and find an exit. Kang Jin-hyuk chuckled. Wandering aimlessly might be even more dangerous. Hearing this devil's whisper, Park Hana gritted her teeth and decided to stay with Kang Jin-hyuk. But there's no free lunch in this world. Even riding the bus costs money, so hand over all your coins. After getting Park Hana and the others' coins, Kang Jin-hyuk immediately opened the trading post. Next, he would use his clearing memory to try synthesizing an S-grade equipment. Kang Jin-hyuk bought 3 trash items from the trading post for 450 gold coins. Then Kang Jin-hyuk whispered, "Equipment combination." In dazzling light, the system notified, "You have obtained the Goddess Fortuna's Wheel of Fortune." The Wheel of Fortune could raise a player's luck value to maximum within 10 minutes, but usage range was limited. But as a former clearing expert, Kang Jin-hyuk clearly understood the Wheel of Fortune's limits. As the wheel spun, the system notified his luck value had reached maximum. Then Kang Jin-hyuk took out 10 enhancement book blind boxes, using them all on the short sword in his hand. Instantly, 10 successful enhancement notifications rang out. "Congratulations on obtaining a +10 enhanced old dagger. As the server's first +10 weapon, the system rewards 5,000 gold coins. Also, your achievement will be displayed on the Hall of Fame for 1 day." Wielding the short sword, Kang Jin-hyuk prepared to continue farming gap points. So 10 days later, Park Hana and her companion were utterly defeated. These 10 days they faced Minotaur attacks daily, followed by life-or-death labyrinth changes. The food was only mushrooms and moss. Feeling they couldn't continue like this, Park Hana immediately started a livestream to contact her guild for help. But in Tower of Trials, all information was blocked. The guild was powerless, and reaching this location would take 3 weeks. Thinking of this, Park Hana had another idea. Kill Kang Jin-hyuk, then hide in the labyrinth. Maybe they could hold out until guild members arrived. But the problem was how to kill Kang Jin-hyuk. When he's sleeping, that's our chance. The man beside her picked up a rock, about to smash it on sleeping Kang Jin-hyuk's head, but Park Hana stopped him. Kang Jin-hyuk's reaction speed is like a ghost's. The moment we attack, he'd probably jump up and counter-kill us. The man asked what to do then. Park Hana sneered, taking out a giant bee poison stinger from her bag. 1 drop could kill 100 giant monsters. Since we're doing this, let's be thorough. The next day, Kang Jin-hyuk looked at the stewed mushroom and moss dish, feeling like he was on wilderness survival. But he still asked the man for more and had Park Hana get him some water. Park Hana cursed internally, what a demanding person. Watching Kang Jin-hyuk eat the poisoned mushrooms, she couldn't help but show a triumphant smile. Then the wooden plate fell. Black blood spurted out. The man beside them painfully clutched his throat, then collapsed as if poisoned. Kang Jin-hyuk sneered, "Idiot, did you think I'd eat food you prepared without hesitation?" While asking the man to add more food, he had already switched what they ate. Also, Kang Jin-hyuk opened the report page, reporting her for secretly live streaming. Livestream function is only for players challenging bosses to the next floor. Your secret use is against the rules. Park Hana still questioned what evidence Kang Jin-hyuk had. But Kang Jin-hyuk mocked, "I'm so disappointed in you." Then Kang Jin-hyuk's finger pressed the report confirmation. Instantly warning red light flashed around Park Hana. The livestream's anonymous system was also removed. Then everyone in the stream seemed to experience an accident and exited. System warning, next time this player will face extremely cruel punishment. Hearing heavy footsteps, both turned around, seeing the Minotaur charging at them. Park Hana urged Kang Jin-hyuk to quickly tell her where safety was. But Kang Jin-hyuk snorted, "Why should I tell you?" Park Hana hesitated. "Didn't you tell me before?" Kang Jin-hyuk had helped Park Hana before because he needed to complete the 240-hour mission with her. Now with the mission complete, he could copy Park Hana's commune skill, so Park Hana was useless to him. Park Hana panicked, immediately saying her brother was from the guild Black Crow, but the Minotaur directly gave her an axe blow to shut her up, while Kang Jin-hyuk leaped into the air and snorted. Then watch carefully and see which is more terrifying, your stupid guild or me. Saying this, Kang Jin-hyuk's form exploded into motion, slashing the Minotaur's neck. Though the wound wasn't large, it broke through defense. Kang Jin-hyuk sighed. Indeed, the gap points weren't raised in vain, though he couldn't kill the opponent yet. As long as he kept dodging to increase gap points, he'd eventually be able to kill it. Moreover, he had another method to accelerate gaining gap points. Instantly Fireball activated, disturbing the Minotaur's vision while Kang Jin-hyuk flashed forward, his blade slicing the bull's ankle tendon. As the Minotaur crashed down, Kang Jin-hyuk then verbally provoked, "Stop struggling, you're building muscle and the meat won't be tender." Hearing this, the Minotaur roared angrily. Kang Jin-hyuk whispered, "Almost there." The next second, with a massive bull's roar, the Labyrinth Guardian Minotaur activated level 10 Berserk. LV10 Berserk could enhance Minotaur's attack speed, and movement speed by 30% for 5 minutes, and temporarily increase intelligence, enabling speech. "Human, I will tear you apart and scatter you throughout this dungeon so you can never violate this place again." In the midst of this fierce battle, Kang Jin-hyuk just whispered, "Bring it on." The next second, as the Minotaur struck with its axe, Kang Jin-hyuk charged straight ahead. The two clashed in completely frontal combat. This scene left Park Hana stunned. A boss that has activated more than a dozen skills cannot be defeated, even if all the members of the guild Black Crow come together. But Kang Jin-hyuk can fight head-on. What she cares more about is that, facing such a powerful monster, Kang Jin-hyuk is actually smiling at this moment. Now Kang Jin-hyuk is calm as water. In the past, he always hated the reality that he was standing still no matter how he ran. The unchanging reality would only make him feel deeply powerless. But in this world, as long as you work hard, you will get rewards immediately. At this moment, Kang Jin-hyuk's gap value has accumulated to 57 points. It is equivalent to reducing the gap of 19 levels, making him more comfortable fighting against the Minotaur. At this moment, when Kang Jin-hyuk turns his back, the Minotaur seizes an opportunity to launch an attack. But just as the fierce assault begins, Kang Jin-hyuk lands steadily on the ground. Those fists stop right in front of Kang Jin-hyuk, unable to advance another step. The Minotaur's Berserk time has ended. Although Berserk mode can boost maximum strength, once the time runs out, the user enters a 24-hour state of suspended animation. So now Kang Jin-hyuk can leisurely watch the 57 gap points he's earned, calculating that in 20 days he'll have enough to reach 100 gap points. At this time, Park Hana asks if it's over. Kang Jin-hyuk just smiles and says, "Didn't I tell you I'd stay here for a month? There are still 20 days left." So 20 days later. Although the gap points Kang Jin-hyuk gains from each evasion have dropped to 0.015, he still manages to accumulate 100 gap points. Kang Jin-hyuk directly punches the Minotaur in the jaw, ending this month-long evasion training. Standing on the bull's horn, Kang Jin-hyuk is in a good mood. Now there's only one problem left: what to do with Park Hana. Kang Jin-hyuk bluntly says his newly opened company is hiring interns. If Park Hana has value, he can spare her life. Park Hana urgently explains that her commune skill can improve rapport with others and help with company operations. But Kang Jin-hyuk has already copied this skill. "What else? I will never betray you." Seeing Park Hana's stammering appearance, Kang Jin-hyuk whispers, "Too disappointing." Then, under Park Hana's terrified gaze, I announce that the first intern of the hardcore gamer company doesn't have Braham's ring. Before Kang Jin-hyuk can finish speaking, Park Hana shouts, "I can give you Braham's ring! That's what my brother traded with the people of Sea Country using Goryo Ginseng. Please spare my life." Hearing this, Kang Jin-hyuk is shocked. Braham's ring is one of the strongest equipment obtainable on the first floor. It increases movement speed, magic resistance, and can even reduce monster attributes. He immediately activates Eye of Truth and confirms Park Hana isn't lying. "Congratulations, you're now an intern at our hardcore gamer company. However, we don't pay interns, and whenever I call you, whether it's 3 a.m. or whatever island you're on, you must come immediately." Then, amid Park Hana's confusion, Kang Jin-hyuk says, "Also, we need to sign a contract." Kang Jin-hyuk then selects commune and fire element skills from his copied abilities, and activates skill fusion. The system prompts, "You've acquired Brand of Obedience." This might hurt a little. Park Hana still doesn't understand what this contract is about. Kang Jin-hyuk explains, "You didn't think I'd make you sign on paper, did you? Welcome to my black company, intern." Then with a scream, the system prompts, "You have left the Brand of Obedience" on Park Hana's face. Brand of Obedience, those branded must completely obey the caster's commands. Any disobedience will result in burning agony. As the labyrinth gate opens and they see light again, Park Hana, who was trapped in the labyrinth for 30 days, finally comes out and cries with excitement. The system then announces that each player who clears the labyrinth receives 5,000 coins. Park Hana is still immersed in the joy of finally breaking even. Then hears Kang Jin-hyuk coldly say, hand over all your coins. So now Kang Jin-yuk has an astounding 10,000 plus coins. Additionally, Kang Jin-yuk demands Park Hana bring him Bram's ring within 3 days, but Park Hana says 3 days is too short. In that case, make it 2 days. As the brand of obedience activates, Park Hana says pitifully, "No matter what, I'll find a way to get it." At this time, the news reports that the nation's top-ranked gaming guild is preparing to attack the 3rd floor of the Tower of Trials. But in Kang Jin-yuk's eyes, having cleared the game before, this is simply laughable. In his view, they're rushing because they want to monopolize the tower's resources. But each floor gives 90 days to clear, and now there's no need to attack even the 2nd floor, let alone the 3rd. If you don't build a good foundation before increasing difficulty, you'll be instantly crushed by the fierce difficulty spike. Moreover, if humanity can't clear the next floor within 90 days, humanity will perish. To understand the current situation, Kang Jin-yuk returns home and decides to first collect various information about what happened in the outside world over the past month. However, to accurately and efficiently gather information, he needs to meet a few people. Soon after, Kang Jin-yuk arranges an offline meeting with some people he used to game with. These two are human Baldy Lee Taemin and Bulgwangdong Nuclear Fist, Yu Yeonhwa, along with Captain Farting Kang Jin-yuk himself. Though the names are somewhat embarrassing, the group gets along well. Through their conversation, Kang Jin-yuk gains a basic understanding of the game's current situation, including the actions of representative guilds from various countries, the movements of streaming broadcasters, and the newly emerged demonic group that kidnaps people to operate coin factories. Additionally, Lee Taemin mentions that recently there's been a test, due to the dramatically increased casualties on the 2nd floor of the Tower of Trials. So the government's Awakener Association has set up a test that people must pass to continue challenging. Those who pass will bear corresponding identification codes. Hearing this, Kang Jin-yuk understands this is probably the officials' method to gather hidden strong players. However, he might be able to utilize this system. Furthermore, in the Awakening test, players rated F-class or below will lose their qualification to enter the 2nd floor. Conversely, players receiving high evaluations will immediately receive invitations from officials in top-ranked guilds. Therefore, people at the Awakening test site can be divided into 3 categories: those praying they can reach F-class or above, paparazzi trying to capture news of high-level strong players appearing, and some geniuses wanting to reveal their strength. The arrivals are Park Hana and Park Hajin, siblings from the guild Black Crow. Additionally, there's another person behind them. This person is Kim Taeji, an expert from the Warrior Guild. Seeing random nobodies also queuing for the test, Kim Taeji immediately has Park Hajin and others drive away all those standing in front of them. During the instant security clearance, Kang Jin-yuk and his group are also affected. The security guard questions what they're doing and why they're not moving aside. Kang Jin-yuk says helplessly, "Naturally, we're queuing and waiting for our turn." Park Hajin comes over to push the bodyguard, reproaching, "You can't even handle such a small matter properly." He immediately points at Kang Jin-yuk, telling him to get lost. Kang Jin-yuk frowns and immediately activates Eye of Truth. While obtaining Park Hajin's status information, the condition to copy his skills is to raise the opponent's hostility to maximum. At this time, Park Hana rushes over to see what's happening, but then her face changes. Her stupid brother is actually provoking that terrifying demon. The next second, with a crack, "What are you barking about?" Park Hajin looks at this guy who appeared out of nowhere. The next second, he pulls out a dagger to teach the other party a lesson. Seeing the opponent courting death, Kang Jin-yuk forcefully squeezes the water bottle in his hand. While disrupting the opponent's vision, he instantly thrusts forward, breaking the opponent's leg while already reaching behind him. Amid everyone's shock, Kang Jin-yuk acts as if he's done something trivial. Park Hana, who knows Kang Jin-yuk's strength in the crowd, is already trembling. That's enough. But at this time, Kim Taeji from the Warrior Guild approaches Kang Jin-yuk. Kang Jin-yuk immediately activates Eye of Truth. But amid system warnings of too large a level gap, the skill fails. Kang Jin-yuk immediately understands this is because he's only level 1, while the opponent has reached at least level 20. Kang Jin-yuk whispers, "Didn't expect that Brat brought a babysitter." Kim Taeji just says, "Though this kid is stupid, he's still useful to me." Kang Jin-yuk smiles mysteriously, "You mean the Goryo Ginseng? If you want to ask how I know, why not ask something more practical? Like how to eliminate the side effects of Goryo Ginseng." Enough. Hearing the opponent reveal his secret, Kim Taeji immediately activates Blackout Barrier, instantly isolating them from others. Within the barrier, though Kim Taeji guesses Kang Jin-yuk might know something, he didn't expect Kang Jin-yuk's asking price to be 10 dungeons occupied by his guild. Kim Taeji asks how he can trust Kang Jin-yuk's words. Kang Jin-yuk says, "Though Goryo Ginseng has excellent effects in restoring stamina and magic power, eating it raw also causes magic poisoning. You're suffering from its side effects now, right? But the solution is simple. You can use Carassian juice, moonstone, and mandrake root mixed together. But I think you can't find where to get mandrake root. Well, I can tell you where to find it." Hearing Kang Jin-yuk state a solution identical to what his guild researched, Kim Taeji already half believes Kang Jin-yuk. "We can trade." However, Kim Taeji's tone turns cold. "Don't play tricks, or I won't let you go." But at this moment, Kim Taiji is also hesitating. 10 dungeons is too high a price, he must consider it more. But the next second, Kim Taiji's weapon breaks. You seem to have misunderstood something. I'm the one making the proposal and giving you a chance. At this time, outside the barrier, Lee Tae-min and Yu Yeonhwa are dealing with people attacking them. Yu Yeonhwa coldly snorts, anyone not afraid of death, step forward. But then, the blackout barrier dissolves, and Kang Jin-hyuk walks out. Yeonhwa, calm down. Seeing this, the two immediately step forward, asking if they should kill them. Meanwhile, Park Ha-jin can't believe Kim Taiji just let those people go. He's about to make a move, but is instantly grabbed by the throat. Kim Taiji coldly says, "With your level, you're far from being that man's opponent. If you dare cause me more trouble, you know the consequences." The next second, Park Ha-jin is thrown to the ground. At this moment, Park Ha-jin feels immense humiliation and swears to make Kang Jin-hyuk pay. Meanwhile, Kang Jin-hyuk successfully copies Park Ha-jin's skill, shallow breathing. Shallow breathing allows voluntary control of pulse and breathing. Now, it's time to experience that level test. Kang Jin-hyuk arrives at the strength testing area. Though he could use skills, he says just an old dagger is enough. He then ignores the low-level magic crystals for measurement and goes directly to the intermediate magic crystal. The staff member tries to remind him that ordinary people can't use that, but the system prompts that gap skill has reached maximum value. Kang Jin-hyuk's aura surges. In a flash of blade light, the knife instantly cuts through the entire magic crystal. Looking at the intermediate magic crystal split in two, the nearby staff member is dumbfounded. Many people can't even meet the magic crystal's magic requirements, and this is the first time he's seen someone slice through an entire magic crystal. The system simultaneously rates the level as S. That person immediately wants to report to superiors. But please wait a week before reporting. The person is somewhat confused. Kang Jin-hyuk just says, "I have some personal reasons, and I deeply understand one principle. A nearby fist is more terrifying than distant regulations." Kang Jin-hyuk then easily walks out of the testing area, but encounters a familiar person at the door. It's Park Hana, who came with Braham's ring as agreed. After handing over the ring, Park Hana wants Kang Jin-hyuk to remove the brand on her, but is cruelly rejected. He only leaves one sentence, "I'll see how you perform in the future." On the other side, Yu Yeonhwa and the others are incredulous to learn that Kang Jin-hyuk's evaluation level is actually F-class. Actually, Kang Jin-hyuk deliberately concealed it, because players who don't pass the first round of level evaluation have a second round of testing. He wants to go to the second round testing location with an appropriate identity to get something. The second round test requires players to clear any dungeon full of monsters. The place he's going to, whether it was in the Tower of Trials 10 billion years ago, or in today's game turned reality, has always been considered a forbidden zone that no one can conquer. So a few days later, Kang Jin-hyuk changes his appearance and comes to the dungeon called the Corridor of the Corrupt. "Hey, Mr. Kang, come help move things." This ruin has been occupied by a guild. To reasonably come to this place, Kang Jin-hyuk registers as a porter and mixes in. At this time, a colleague asks Mr. Kang why he came to such a dangerous place. Kang Jin-hyuk just smiles and responds, "Life's pressures." That person takes out his phone and says he has a wife beautiful like a fox and 2 children cute like rabbits, and he came here for them. Hearing these words that sound like death flags, Kang Jin-hyuk breaks into a cold sweat. That person tells Kang Jin-hyuk to be careful here because machines can't start inside, and ambulances can't reach them. Don't worry, at least everyone in this team will return home safely. Hearing Kang Jin-hyuk's confident statement, that person smiles politely. "I'll take your word for it." Young people today are really spirited. Soon arriving at the destination, Kang Jin-hyuk and others as the support team need to wait for the strike team that took the dungeon conquest mission to arrive before they can continue forward. But at this time, the special reward for the first Tower of Trials clearer has been delivered. A system prompt that only Kang Jin-hyuk can see suddenly appears before him. Opening the special reward, luck and adaptability values each increase by 20%. Cold Heart has activated. Allows you to stay calm in emergency situations. Passive skill monopoly has been activated. When you monopolize all rewards, you can obtain the most valuable reward among them. Seeing the monopoly skill description, Kang Jin-hyuk thinks that in the Tower of Trials there are many mystery box rewards. But even among 1,000, you might not find one that yields something good. But the monopoly skill can actually let him ignore probability and obtain the most valuable item. This skill is simply too amazing. At this time, brilliant beams of light appear behind Kang Jin-hyuk. Guild Balhae's main strike team has arrived. Song Cheonhwa is the team captain. The nationally top 10 ranked gaming guild Guild Balhae successfully cleared the outer area of the Corridor of the Corrupt dungeon. But this seems strange in boss Kang Jin-hyuk's eyes. In his view, this guild's strength completely doesn't support them reaching this point. At this time, the porters follow the strike team to explore deeper. The foreman tells Kang Jin-hyuk to deliver water to the assisting foreigners. But seeing the symbols on those foreigners, Kang Jin-hyuk's gaze sharpens. This is the elite guild from Continent U, Guild Zion. Meanwhile, in the crowd, a shorter person catches Kang Jin-hyuk's attention. Kang Jin-hyuk decides to choose this person to gather some intelligence. "You've worked hard, have some ice water?" Kang Jin-hyuk simultaneously activates the commune skill. Amid the system prompt that the opponent gains a slight favorable impression of you. Thank you. Under the armor appears a handsome blonde girl. It's her! Kang Jinyuk's heart stirs. This girl is the youngest daughter of the Lorenzia noble family from continent U. Also, an all-around player who can wield divine power and possesses attack, defense, and auxiliary healing skills. Known as the Saintess of Amsterdam, Teresa de Lorenzia. With Teresa here, Kang Jinyuk now understands how this group could fight their way here. However, elite players are all attacking the third floor, so Teresa appearing here is somewhat strange. Kang Jinyuk immediately activates Eye of Truth. The system prompts that the level gap is too large, skill activation failed. But the next second, luck and adaptability values have reduced the gap. You have activated level 2 Eye of Truth. You have seen through the opponent's status. Kang Jinyuk is surprised but pleased, then sees Teresa's excellent attribute panel, simultaneously seeing the career quest in progress mark in the status. Kang Jinyuk also understands Teresa's purpose for coming here. The system also prompts that Teresa is a top 100 player worldwide. When you save her from danger, you can copy one of her skills. Thank you. At this time, Teresa finishes the water and kindly thanks Kang Jinyuk. You're welcome. Kang Jinyuk thinks, I should be thanking you, because you've given me the opportunity to obtain the skill rated as the strongest inherent ability by the Night Circle, the Blessing of the Stars. But the question is, how can he put this woman in a predicament and then save her life? Meanwhile, Strike Team Captain Song Chonhwa receives bad news. A team of advanced scouts was completely wiped out. Also, a first-level guardian is watching the invaders and will awaken the dungeon guardian in 10 minutes. Seeing the alarm system triggered by some unknown fool, Song Chonhwa nearly goes mad. If the guardian appears, their team will lose at least half its members. There are still 10 minutes. Perhaps an orderly retreat still has a chance. But no, he finally climbed to the team captain position. The first mission can't end like this. He makes a decision, continue forward. Bro, are you serious? The guardian is about to come, others question. Stop talking nonsense. If something happens, I'll take responsibility. Besides, we're not without a chance of victory, because we have the Saintess Teresa. Meanwhile, solo players who came with the guild also receive news of the Guardian's awakening. A woman tells the others not to get excited. Guild Balhae is a major guild, and they solo players just need to follow orders. But the next second, a pair of giant hands appear behind her. Blood splatters instantly. The dungeon guardian has appeared. Captain Song Chonhwa shouts, "Prepare for battle!" Everyone is challenging the elite monster, but even with the front line raising shields, and support players releasing buff skills, facing the powerful relic guard, one axe strike nearly overwhelms the front line tank. Even the non-guild players who came to challenge together can now only be left to fend for themselves. The solo players also know they've been abandoned, and pray in their hearts for someone to save them. The next second, amid urgent footsteps, blonde hair appear and level 4 skill sign of the cross activate. Under brilliant holy light, one person instantly kills all relic guards while making a cool entrance. In the blazing golden light, it's Saintess Teresa. Noticing that relic guards have broken through to the logistics unit, Teresa immediately decides to move to provide support, but the logistics area is already in chaos. The foreman remembers how Kang Jinyuk previously said they could return home safely, but looking at the relic guard before him, he really wants to say what nonsense. But the next second, purple light flashes. What are you talking about? I said I'd get you home safely. The foreman is shocked and shouts again, Mr. Kang, there's another monster behind you? But Kang Jinyuk easily dodges. While avoiding the attack, fire element skill activates. Flames instantly engulf the monster, killing it on the spot. After comforting the foreman, Kang Jinyuk ponders who would go to the trouble of awakening the relic guards. At this time, Kang Jinyuk still wants the foreman to leave quickly, but suddenly blonde hair flutters by. The foreman is instantly carried to a distance by someone. While that person coldly says, I thought you were a kind-hearted good person, but you actually threaten non-combatants with a knife. You're the one who awakened the relic guardians, right? Now I'm going to arrest you. Hearing these inexplicable words, Kang Jinyuk is stunned. Excuse me? But the next second, Saintess Teresa has already attacked. Then she says, don't resist, I won't hurt you. Looking at the smashed ground, Kang Jinyuk thinks, how can I believe you? But now Teresa is too angry to be rational, and there's no chance for him to explain. In that case, while dodging an attack, Kang Jinyuk suddenly swings his arm, instantly sending Teresa flying to the ground. Then a knife is pressed against Teresa's face. I'm not the culprit who awakened the Guardians. If I were, I would have killed you by now. At this time, the foreman also comes over to explain that it was Kang Jinyuk who saved him. Hearing this, Teresa is dumbfounded. After getting up, she can't help but apologize repeatedly to Kang Jinyuk. Kang Jinyuk waves his hand. Then hearing Teresa ask, why are you hiding your strength? Kang Jinyuk just smiles. You, the Guild Zion, to come here to secretly obtain Peter's covenant and complete your job change, right? While Teresa is shocked that Kang Jinyuk knows this, I'm like you, also have something I want to secretly obtain. And I know all the strategies for clearing this ruin. And Teresa, you're very capable. The things we want are in the same place. How about it? Want to go together? On the other side, hearing that Teresa wants to act alone, Song Chunwa has a "are you crazy" expression. But Teresa mentions their previous agreement that she has complete freedom to act on her own before attacking the boss. Hearing this, Song Chunwa is embarrassed. Finally, he waves his hand and says, "Fine, but you must return to our agreed location." Additionally, Teresa asks if she can take a porter to help, and Song Chunwa says, "Do as you please." So Teresa's eyes light up. The porters all have grim expressions. Though Teresa is beautiful, leaving the main force to act alone is suicide. "At this time I'll go, I'm willing to go." Kang Jin-yuk dramatically steps forward. The others nearby quickly try to dissuade him. "The Saintess is nice, but you can't gamble with your life. Love isn't more important than life. You're too young." Hearing this, Kang Jin-yuk plays along, saying, "Uncle, you can see my burning passion for someone. At this moment, I must brave fire and water for my love, even if it costs my life." The uncles are struck by this. Damn, this is youth. Youth. Go, Mr. Kang Porter. The last romantic of this era. Hearing the discussion behind him, Kang Jin-yuk just wants to say, "What can I say, man?" At this time, Kang Jin-yuk and Saintess Teresa arrive at the depths of the dungeon and see monsters surrounding a strange red coffin. Teresa directly states that the job change item she needs is in that coffin. But first they need to find a way to remove the barrier outside the coffin. As the two ponder, system warning, the master of the corrupt corridor is watching you. Kang Jin-yuk is startled, knowing this is a prompt caused by a terrifying existence hidden in the ruins. Just as he wonders why this guy has taken interest in players, Teresa simultaneously asks, "Is this from the boss? Watching us means he recognizes us?" "No, it means he recognizes me." Kang Jin-yuk's inexplicable confidence makes Teresa feel a bit awkward. So she asks, "You said you know all the functions here, so what should I do next?" The next second, Teresa soars into the air, arriving among the monsters. While all monsters are attracted, Teresa has activated level 5 skill battle song. All attributes increase by 3 points for 10 minutes. According to Kang Jin-yuk's instructions, what she needs to do is simple: attract all the monsters' attention. Facing the siege of numerous undead creatures, Teresa then activates level 5 divinity reinforcement. As holy light restrains undead creatures, Teresa moves among the monsters like entering uninhabited territory. While all monsters are attracted by Teresa, Kang Jin-yuk steps forward, stepping on the monsters to quickly approach the barrier coffin. But then a red-black lightning flashes at his neck. Instantly, a violent explosive attack hits Kang Jin-yuk's location. System prompt: the ruins hidden King Elite Lich has appeared. At this time, amid the rolling smoke, Kang Jin-yuk appears unharmed. He had anticipated the Elite Lich's appearance. However, among the undead monsters, several more relic guards suddenly appear, which is beyond his expectations. Though the relic guards interfere, as long as he pays attention to positioning, the Elite Lich's dark lightning can help him deal with these guards. Moreover, the Elite Lich's lightning has another characteristic: it can shatter any barrier. At this time, lightning attacks toward Kang Jin-yuk's face. Kang Jin-yuk dodges with positioning. The lightning races straight toward the barrier outside the coffin. Amid the instant shattering, the system prompts: magic barrier has been destroyed. The air seems to become awkward at this moment. Kang Jin-yuk takes advantage to break through the remaining guards. Looking at the Elite Lich before him, he coldly says, "Now you're alone. What should we do?" The next second, sword light flashes and the Lich is killed instantly. But this wasn't done by Kang Jin-yuk. "Finally found you." Someone crushes the skeleton underfoot. Only one guy moves like he can predict monster actions. "I knew you'd come here. Long time no see." Kang Jin-yuk looks at the man before him and says, "Who are you?" The man, seeing that Kang Jin-yuk doesn't recognize him, asks in disbelief, "You really don't recognize me? Looks like I still have to rely on myself." Kang Jin-yuk activates Eye of Truth and immediately gets the opponent's name, Xian Yusong. The condition to copy his skills is to defeat him using the swordsmanship he's proud of. Kang Jin-yuk also notices the long sword in the opponent's hand marked with Qian Long. He suddenly remembers the one missing from the museum. He thinks of someone who would carry this sword. That was before the Tower of Trials became reality, when he once defeated someone. After that, this guy would challenge him to duels whenever he got the chance. "So it's you, that psycho stalker. You only recognize me now? Are you looking down on me?" Kang Jin-yuk thinks this person's stubborn temper just gives him a headache. "Now that the game has restarted, I won't lose to you again. If you insist on fighting, I won't stop you. But my companion won't just stand by and watch." Chan Yusong roars, "I won't let anyone interfere with our duel." Chan Yusong then activates the skill battlefield selection. As the surrounding scenery gradually changes, Kang Jin-yuk reaches toward an object in the coffin. Teresa doesn't have time to intervene. Kang Jin-yuk whispers, "See you later." The next second, both disappear from the scene. Jian Yusong pulls Kang Jin-yuk into an arena, simultaneously activating skill 1-on-1, increasing his all attributes by 10%, while decreasing Kang Jin-yuk's all attributes by 10%. Sensing that the battle situation was extremely unfavorable to him, Kang Jin-yuk just let out a cold laugh. The next second, a system notification appeared, detecting that your battle situation is extremely unfavorable. The special condition for skill fusion has been triggered. When the battle becomes extremely disadvantageous to you, far exceeding the original copy difficulty, the copy condition changes to, first copy the skill, then meet the copy condition. I want to copy Qian Yusong's unique skill. You have copied the opponent's unique skill, Sword Song. Sword Song increases understanding of sword-type weapons by 200%. Your body can naturally find the most suitable sword techniques, while overall sensitivity reaches its peak. Seeing Kang Jinyek seem distracted, Qian Yusong shouted loudly, "Kang Jinyek, don't be too arrogant," and immediately charged forward to kill. Kang Jinyek snorted coldly, gripping his old dagger. In an instant, with Kang Jinyek's incomparable body control ability, he fought against Qian Yusong on equal terms. Seeing that Kang Jinyek wasn't using his signature mid-range tactics, and was only using a short blade, Qian Yusong was puzzled about what Kang Jinyek was up to. Kang Jinyek smiled relaxedly and said mockingly, "A short sword is enough, and the swordsmanship is quite interesting." This completely enraged Qian Yusong. "Even now, you're still ignoring me." Instantly, Qian Yusong swung his sword upward, activating his level 6 skill, Soul-Chasing Sword Energy. Seeing his opponent use sword energy against him, a novice in swordsmanship, Kang Jinyek called it excessive. "You're a novice? Stop talking nonsense," Qian Yusong angrily responded with an international friendly gesture to Kang Jinyek. Considering that using a short sword against sword energy would consume weapon durability too quickly, and who knows when the fight would end, he decided to create an ability that could counter sword energy. Kang Jinyek whispered, "I want to fuse Sword Song with Demon Spirit Marble." In an instant, purple light flashed. "You have activated skill fusion. You have fused skill Sword Song with equipment Demon Spirit Marble. You have obtained the unique ability Grave of Swords. Grave of Swords increases understanding of sword-type weapons by 500%. Instantly, a powerful aura surged from around Kang Jinyek. At the same time, you have activated Grave of Swords. You have activated skill, Knight of the Black Moon. Feeling Kang Jinyek's overwhelming presence, Qian Yusong could hardly believe it. On the battlefield most favorable to him, his opponent didn't use his signature mid-range tactics. And despite having a clear 100% advantage over him, he still felt he couldn't defeat Kang Jinyek. Whether in the game or now that the game had become reality, he had given his all to defeat that guy. Why? Why can't I still surpass you? With a cry of "I won't accept this," Qian Yusong frantically unleashed sword energy. Purple light flashed in Kang Jinyek's eyes. Between flashes of blade light, he instantly severed all the sword energy. As Qian Yusong's face turned pale with shock, Kang Jinyek appeared behind him in an instant. "I've fought many people. Those guys used weapons faster and stronger than your sword." Instantly, a powerful force struck down on the Qianlong sword. Then, with a flick of his wrist, Kang Jinyek sent the Qianlong sword flying from Qian Yusong's hand. "Looks like this time I win again. I can't even remember how many wins in a row this is." 138, Qian Yusong said weakly. "This is the 138th time. Just kill me," Kang Jinyek smiled. "Then the next duel will be my 139th consecutive win." You also know that the Tower of Trials isn't an easy place. Even top experts can die instantly from carelessness. So we need as many experts as possible here. A top player like you is even more indispensable. While Qian Yusong was still immersed in Kang Jinyek's words acknowledging him as a top expert, Kang Jinyek was thinking, the copy skill has a 60-day cooldown for the same player. I won't let you run around. This way I can wait for Qian Yusong to deliver various top-tier skills to me next time. With his hand extended, the commune skill activated. I admit I lost this time, but next time won't have the same result. After the battlefield selection was lifted, Qian Yusong said, "By the way, I still don't know your real name." Kang Jinyek replied, "Our relationship isn't good enough to exchange names yet. In that case, I'll still call you by your game name." Hearing this, Kang Jinyek's face changed. "No, don't. Captain Farting. Ha ha ha. Poopy fart. You bastard, I should have told you earlier." The scene returns to the strike team. A team member detected that a formidable enemy was moving toward their direction. At this moment, panic filled everyone's hearts. Suddenly, an iron golem arrived before them. And standing on the iron golem's head was a vampire elder. He elegantly walked down. Upon seeing the humans, he even bowed respectfully. "I'm one of the blood relatives of the original vampire and master of this ruin." Song Chonhua held a knife to the vampire's neck and asked, "What do you want here?" The vampire elder wasn't angry even though players surrounded him with swords. He said, "It appears you're the leader here. I've come to take you to an interesting place. Will all of you follow me without resistance?" The vampire elder deliberately cut his finger to draw blood. At this moment, everyone's feet were surrounded by the vampire elder's blood. Skill Bloodfest activated. Everyone was taken away by him. Meanwhile, Saintess Teresa was using divine power to evolve a precious item, Frozen Tear. At the same time, Kang Jinyek obtained the Demon Spirit Marble. He had acquired this Frozen Tear. The evolved Frozen Tear could increase a player's maximum mana. Just as Kang Jinyek was praising Teresa, a system voice suddenly rang out. "The Master of the Corridor has sent you an invitation." To save the trapped strike team members, please enter the deepest room of the ruins. After accepting the quest, all monsters and traps will stop. Teresa's face changed. She immediately stood up to go save her teammates. But now, without the strike team's support, could she really defeat the original vampire by herself? She suddenly regretted leaving the team to act alone. She had originally wanted to change her class to paladin to protect more people, but didn't expect it to turn into the current situation. Xian Yusong on the side. The strike team has nothing to do with me. I'm ready to go. But passing by Teresa, Qian Yusong said, I have something to say that might be useful to you. This guy is extremely selfish and completely untrustworthy, which is why I extremely dislike him. But I can guarantee you one thing. Currently, he's the only person in the world who can defeat the original vampire. That's all I'll say. Teresa said in a low voice, Thank you for your advice. Then she said to Kang Jinyuk, Jinyuk, I want to make a contract with you. My down payment isn't cheap. Is that okay? Don't worry, as long as we can save the strike team members, I'm willing to pay any price. Looking at Teresa, who still insisted, Alright, let's give it a try. System notification, quest accepted. Immediately the two arrived at the deepest part of the ruins. The amazing magical power emanating from the surroundings made Teresa secretly shocked. Don't be afraid. We already knew our opponent was strong, didn't we? And in battle, it's not always the stronger one who wins. Do you have any plan? I only have one request. No matter what happens to us inside, you must trust me. In an instant, they entered the door. What met their eyes were countless blood relatives. You finally come. I was getting bored waiting. In the room's throne, a silver-haired girl whispered. It was the original vampire, Alice Fawn Ataraxia. What happened to the strike team people? Alice snapped her fingers. System notification. Dimension severance has been lifted. Kang Jinyuk saw the captured people. Kang Jinyuk used true sight to observe the surroundings, and noticed that Park Hajin was also among them. He immediately guessed whether this kid had awakened the Guardian earlier. The reason I invited you is because of the scent emanating from your body. I've never smelled such a sweet fragrance. Ordinary people's blood can't compare to the blood fragrance you emit. Hearing Alice talking about something sweet, this was quite different from the original vampire in Kang Jinyuk's memory. You seem very troubled. Who wouldn't be troubled being targeted by a vampire for their blood? Don't worry, I'm always conservative with fine cuisine. I'll raise you until you're 80, then kill you. I appreciate your kindness, but I don't want to live as a premium lunchbox. The moment Kang Jinyuk finished speaking, a red flash passed by. The ground behind Kang Jinyuk cracked. Alice said coldly, Moving drinks don't need to talk. At this moment, Kang Jinyuk bowed and said, Although I have no intention of living as a mobile blood bag in the future, Kang Jinyuk knelt on one knee and said, However, I can provide something sweeter than my own blood. Alice smiled. For blood relatives, nothing is more attractive to them than blood. What if what I propose is freedom? Hearing this word, Alice froze in place. The other blood relatives were furious. As exiles permanently imprisoned here, mentioning freedom was simply mocking them. Wait, Alice suppressed everyone's voices. If you can take responsibility for what you just said, then prove it to me. Kang Jinyuk whispered while taking out a mask. My name is Kang Jinyuk. From now on, I represent the demonic ones within the tower and will take you away from this place. Demonic ones refer to people who have betrayed humanity for various reasons like money, revenge, etc. Demonic ones are not only public enemies of all players, but also often ally with monsters in dungeons or ruins. Alice had heard about this matter. I have already made prior contact with the temple on the 27th floor of the Tower of Trials. I obtained information about your presence here and a method to deceive the seal covering this ruin. Listening to Kang Jinyuk's eloquent speech, Teresa on the side was very shocked. At the same time, she noticed that the blood relatives around them were actually wavering after hearing about the temple. Since you know about the temple, you probably aren't lying. So, do you believe me now? No, even if you really are a demonic one, how can you give me freedom? Anyone can say they can solve this age-old problem at once. But what's important is, I never trust smooth talkers. After saying this, Alice activated skill blood spears and countless spears appeared behind Alice. Your blood is very sweet, but unfortunately, go die. In an instant, countless chains rushed toward Kang Jinyuk, but Kang Jinyuk stood in place without any resistance. At the moment of life and death, Teresa blocked in front of Kang Jinyuk. Skill divinity reinforcement has been activated. In an instant, in the dazzling holy light, countless blood chains were blocked. Teresa shouted for Kang Jinyuk to hide behind her properly, while she herself struggled with great difficulty to resist with all her strength. At the same time, she used skill divine shield to strengthen her defense. Watching Teresa's appearance of giving her all but still being weak, Alice couldn't help but smile. But her smile stopped abruptly. Teresa's divine power that restrained blood relatives still made her quite displeased. Alice activated skill blood explosion, deciding to blow Teresa away entirely. Looking at the amazing magical power before her, Teresa wondered if she could last 1 second or 2 seconds. But she smiled. No matter what, she believed in Kang Jinyuk behind her. But suddenly, Kang Jinyuk's dagger pierced through her body. Teresa's blood gushed out. Looking at that familiar weapon that had pierced through her body, a trace of disbelief showed in Teresa's eyes. Jinhyuk, you... Alice stopped her attack upon seeing this scene. At this moment, Kang Jinhyuk asked Alice if she could now believe his determination to help her. Seeing that Kang Jinhyuk had actually betrayed the companion who saved his life, Alice said, "Interesting. Then continue to prove that you have the qualification to give me freedom." But at this moment, Teresa asked Kang Jinhyuk in a weak voice, "Jinhyuk, didn't we agree to save the other companions? Is this what you meant by your plan?" But the next second, Kang Jinhyuk raised his hand and brought down his blade. Blood splattered across Teresa's entire sacred shield. Everything fell silent at this moment. Alice's lips curved slightly upward. "Very good, you human have some ability. I believe you're on my side now. Now I'll give you a chance to prove your ability." In a flash of red light, Braham's ring appeared in Kang Jinhyuk's hand. "To deceive the barrier that imprisons you, I specially prepared a 7-star spell. As long as your soul is sealed in this equipment, we can temporarily deceive the ruin's barrier." This was the first time Alice had heard of such a method. But Kang Jinhyuk thought silently. Since the Tower of Trials opened, the reason he had maintained level 1 until now was because this 7-star soul transfer skill could only be used at level 1. System notification: you have met the level requirement. 7-star soul transfer has been activated. Skill cooldown time is 365 days and requires the consent of the target. In 1 minute, this magic circle will disappear forever. As long as you're willing, I can activate the magic immediately. Now it's your turn to choose. How will you choose? While other blood relatives were shocked that such a method existed, Alice's voice reached Bellis's mind. "My confidant, if he plays any tricks, kill him immediately and destroy the magic circle." Now with insurance in place, Alice also made her decision. Although she was reluctant to trust a spell she was seeing for the first time, she had been imprisoned here for over 1,000 years. She had to consider whether this might be her only chance in this lifetime. "I'll ask you one last time, can I trust you? If I'm fortunate enough to gain your trust, I will never let you regret it." The moment their fingers touched, the commune skill activated. System notification: Alice has developed a slight favorable impression of you. I, Alice von Ataraxia, consent to soul transfer. System notification: Braham's ring is absorbing original vampire Alice's soul. Not bad. It's quite peaceful in here. Alice's satisfied voice came from the ring. "That's wonderful." Kang Jinhyuk's voice contained hidden excitement. "I'm glad you're satisfied with your future home." Before Alice's questioning voice could ring out, unique ability, the Blessing of the Stars, has been activated. Skill: the Blessing of the Stars can revive a player once who has not died instantly. In the sound of blood dripping, a person gradually rose from the ground. Kang Jinhyuk whispered, "Welcome back." Teresa thought that if she didn't have the resurrection skill, she would have been done for this time. At this moment, Alice in the ring angrily said, "How dare you treat me like this? Bellis, kill this liar for me." Teresa also had many questions at this time, but she suppressed her inner doubts and went to save the other teammates first. At this time, Bellis was furious, and seeing the original vampire sealed, he couldn't sit still anymore. He activated skill Blood Wave to finish off Kang Jinhyuk. Facing the towering Blood Wave, Kang Jinhyuk activated fire elemental skills. With elemental advantage, Kang Jinhyuk instantly cleared the Blood Wave. Seeing magic didn't work, the vampires simply engaged in close combat. All vampires instantly launched an assault on Kang Jinhyuk. At this time, Teresa also rescued the trapped strike team. But Captain Song Chanhwa looked like he'd seen a ghost, because in front of him, a masked person had already slaughtered all the vampires clean. He couldn't help but ask who this person was. Teresa, seeing that Kang Jinhyuk intended to hide his identity, only said he was someone she met on the way, and she didn't know clearly either. At this time, Kang Jinhyuk came to Teresa. Teresa smiled bitterly and couldn't help complaining, "I didn't expect my first death to be at the hands of a companion. It really hurt just now. But we did it." A trace of excited tears slid down Teresa's cheek. "Thank you, Jinhyuk. Thanks to you, everyone could survive." System notification: you have saved Teresa's life. Copy condition satisfied. Skill: the Blessing of the Stars has been copied. Now it was time to collect the treasures for clearing the ruins. But at this time, Song Chanhwa indicated that all equipment from this strategy should belong to their guild Balhae. Kang Jinhyuk sarcastically said that he had saved their lives, yet they still had the face to ask him for equipment. Song Chanhwa awkwardly explained that the guild would give him satisfactory compensation. A failed strike team captain can still be so righteous. Kang Jinhyuk cursed this person internally as truly useless. He suddenly said, "Since you want it, take it. But no matter what consequences arise, don't regret it." Song Chanhwa was confused for a moment, but then didn't care. He thought that as long as he could get these treasures, his failed attack could be redeemed. Thinking this, he reached forward. But at this moment, a red lightning instantly stung his arm. A strange mark appeared in his palm. Behind him, Kang Jinhyuk sneered, "These treasures all carry curses. Only by completely eliminating Alice can the curse be lifted. But unfortunately, Alice has now been subdued by me." A cry of alarm gradually rose. Teresa seemed to have seen something unbelievable, but "Let's go." Kang Jinhyuk directly pulled her away. Meanwhile, late at night, a group of reporters were gathered around the entrance of the Tower of Trials. Because the Awakener Association announced that tonight, a ruin within the Tower of Trials would be conquered. That ruin should have taken at least 3 weeks to complete, so its conquest now was truly unexpected. Actually, Kim Tae-chun wasn't sure either. He had received the news from a mysterious person. He felt the other party was very strong and didn't seem to be lying, so he notified the reporters. Suddenly, a system voice rang out. The ruin, the corridor of the corrupt, has been conquered. Kim Tae-chun shuddered at the system notification. The guild strike team members also came out. In the flashlights, countless people congratulated while competing to ask about the challenge process. But suddenly a bald man burst out from the crowd. It was strike team captain Song Chanhua, who had taken the treasure and been cursed, losing his hair. Everyone looked at Song Chanhua, who had lost his hair and eyebrows for conquering the ruin, and shouted respect. At this time, Saintess Teresa appeared. Everyone. The one who conquered the ruin wasn't Song Chanhua, but him. He alone conquered the ruin. We were just spectators watching the performance. Seeing this, the Awakener Association realized that an unknown but extremely powerful player had emerged. The masked hero's conquest of the ruin caused a huge stir online. All players speculated about who this mysterious person could be. As for the instigator, Kang Jin-yuk, he was leisurely eating instant noodles at home. Only Teresa knew his identity, and she had already agreed to keep it secret, so he wasn't worried about his identity being exposed. Since that was the case, it was time to have a chat with the sealed Alice. At this moment, Alice in the ring was extremely angry from being deceived. It seemed some training would be needed for proper communication. Instantly, Kang Jin-hyuk violently spun the ring in his hand. How's that? Are you clear-headed now? Alice said dizzily. Despicable guy, listen well, vampires never forget their enemies until death. Ah, it seems you haven't recognized your situation yet. Alice shouted, no, I'm really going to vomit. Kang Jin-hyuk rolled up his sleeves and activated his self-created technique, Vampire Centrifuge. After 3 hours, Alice's pleading voice finally came from the ring. Stop crying and come out. As magical power was injected, Alice's form appeared out of thin air before Kang Jin-hyuk. The next second, Alice, who had regained freedom, was about to give Kang Jin-hyuk what for. But Alice suddenly felt something was wrong. Her body had shrunk several times. Kang Jin-hyuk explained that he had only released part of Alice's physical form. The current her could only be called a mini version of Alice, with less than 1% of her original strength. But Kang Jin-hyuk knew that even so, ordinary vampires were no match for Alice. However, Alice felt her life was bleak and her worldview had collapsed. Stop crying. What I said in the ruins wasn't empty talk. Alice retorted that this wasn't the kind of freedom she wanted. I know, but I can help you find the freedom you truly want. What do you mean by that? Alice von Ataraxia. As long as you're willing to help me, I'll help you eliminate those who betrayed you in the past and assist you in becoming the head of the Ataraxia family again. Just as Kang Jin-hyuk was subduing Alice, the video of Kang Jin-hyuk single-handedly defeating vampires was also uploaded online. While netizens marveled that a grand guild wasn't as good as a solo player, Kang Jin-hyuk also arrived at the front of a guild's office building. These guilds had made huge profits after the Tower of Trials appeared, and their office buildings were ridiculously tall. However, he couldn't control whether these guilds wanted to monopolize or do other things. But earlier, they had actually tried to kill him in the ruins. That was something he couldn't tolerate. He was going to make those guys pay the price they deserved. Meanwhile, on the top floor, Shin Jiangsu, president of the guild Black Crow, was getting a headache from Park Ha-jin's actions. He had sent Park Ha-jin to secretly eliminate Kang Jin-hyuk in the ruins. Who knew this kid didn't complete the mission, let the target go and ran back by himself, and even awakened the guardian in the ruins, causing him, the guild president, tremendous pressure. What a waste. Shin Jiangsu kicked Park Ha-jin away. The bodyguards outside the door were used to the commotion inside. Back to Kang Jin-hyuk, he kicked open the door of Black Crow Guild building and swaggered in. Along the way, he directly ignored the 300 bodyguards and directly activated fire elemental skills. But the next second, intense firelight shot out, and the bodyguards were all blown away. Are you this guild's boss? Kang Jin-hyuk arrived at the guild president's office, looking at the masked man who appeared before him. President Shin Jiansu still hadn't figured out what was happening. Park Ha-jin on the side, however, saw this as a good opportunity to demonstrate his abilities to his boss and make up for his mistakes. He instantly rushed forward, but Kang Jin-hyuk casually removed his mask while defeating Park Ha-jin with just one strike, grinding him into the ground. Shin Jiansu recognized that the visitor was the person the guild had previously tried to assassinate, and threatened, "You brat, you won't have a good ending doing this." That's not your concern. Kang Jin-hyuk sat carelessly on the sofa, with a go board in front of him. This careless attitude made Shin Jiansu think this was an opportunity. Shin Jiansu's hand reached for his long sword. In an instant, skill-fleeting sword activated. Kang Jin-hyuk watched as the long sword approached, but a flash of light passed, and the long sword instantly shattered. Shin Jiansu saw that the opponent had shattered his weapon with just a ghost stone. Kang Jin-hyuk picked up another ghost stone again, looking at Shin Jiansu with contempt. Now we can have a proper talk. Kang Jin-hyuk, is it because I sent people to kill you before that you've come for revenge? Just for such a small matter? Do you need to destroy an entire building? With a flick, a ghost stone hit Shin Jiansu's forehead. What do you mean such a small matter? The opponent's shamelessness made Kang Jinyuk want to laugh. Wait, Shin Jiansu still wanted to be stubborn. My guild still has over 50 experts climbing the tower outside. Even if you kill me, they'll seek revenge and hunt you down. Blood can only be repaid with blood. As long as one side doesn't forgive, the killing won't stop. So Kang Jinyuk, don't go too far. Kang Jinyuk nodded. Endless revenge is indeed troublesome. In that case, I'll handle it cleanly. I've decided I'll keep seeking revenge. As for forgiveness, that's for you all to decide. Shin Jiansu was still questioning what nonsense Kang Jinyuk was talking about. The next second, ghost stones shot out in all directions. Shin Jiansu instantly became an airborne acrobat. Kang Jinyuk looked at Park Hajin at his feet, thinking of Brahm's ring. Thanks to your sister, you get to live. From now on, don't appear before us again. Park Hajin nodded frantically like a dog. And that guy over there pretending to be dead, get up. If you can prove you're useful to me, I'll spare your life. Introduce yourself first. Yes, my name is Kim Hui-ung. I'm responsible for managing all of Black Crow Guild's business. You can entrust me with anything. Good. You've also seen that the situation here isn't great. It would be a waste to directly destroy such a large guild. So I want to hand the guild over to you. You don't need to make the guild bigger, just maintain the status quo. Although Kim Hui-ung was somewhat excited, he still indicated that if he suddenly took this position, probably no one in the guild would support him. You don't need to worry about those who oppose. I'll send another person to assist you. That day, all the rank members of Black Crow Guild received notice to return to the guild. Just as everyone wondered what the old boss was up to, when they returned, they saw their president lying on a car downstairs, sunbathing. When they rushed to the office, they found Kim Hui-ung sitting in the president's chair. You brat, what the hell are you doing? Explain everything clearly, word for word. Kim Hui-ung tremblingly said the guild had been acquired. As Red Hair was puzzled, Alice appeared and said, Didn't I say not to assign me tasks that require personal appearances? You're saying this little thing did all this? Hearing the words little thing, Alice got a bit angry. And when angry, she needed to vent. Hearing the explosion, Kang Jinyuk didn't need to guess that it was Alice's doing. But he had more important things to do now. It had been 2 months since the Tower of Trials appeared in reality. The world's order had also undergone tremendous changes, and everyone's survival role in the changes had become more crucial. Now, with his mask on, Kang Jinyuk was an S rank in everyone's eyes. And with his mask off, he was just an unremarkable F rank. There were no longer any conditions that could restrict him in terms of identity. Therefore, it was time for true monopoly. The next day, Kang Jinyuk's companions gathered together. Kang Jinyuk introduced Alice, Kim Hui-ung, Yu Yeonhwa, and Lee Tae-min. Alice had destroyed the entire Black Crow Guild building, and Kang Jinyuk wanted to reason with Alice about it. Alice explained that it was all because those guys provoked her first, since no one had ever dared to challenge her in the past. Kang Jinyuk thought she was really an ancestor-level troublemaker. He turned around and planned to take Alice monster hunting, while saying goodbye to the other 3. Hearing that Kang Jinyuk planned to go hunting, Alice asked puzzledly, Are there still places to hunt now? That's right. Quality dungeons had now been monopolized by major guilds. Everyone believed that before breaking through the 3rd floor of the Tower of Trials, there were no unknown hunting grounds left. However, Kang Jinyuk happened to know of a secret hunting location. On the 1st floor of the Tower of Trials, there was a place named for its scenery, Moon Lake. Although the scenery was beautiful, when human survival was at stake, no one was here enjoying leisure time. Kang Jinyuk's purpose for this journey lies within the waters of this lake. Somewhere along the lakeside, there are 12 decorative statues. Alice asks if there are any secret buttons on these statues. Kang Jinyuk smiles. It's not that simple. Although players discovered long ago that one of the statues has a strange groove, no one has ever found the key that corresponds to it. But Kang Jinyuk knows that its key is none other than the moonlight of this place. Using his palm to adjust the amount and angle of moonlight shining in, directing the moonlight in a specific ratio onto a reaction stone within the groove. With some time and effort, the gate to the underground will open. System notification, you have entered the Tower of Trials underground 1st floor. Alice is very curious, feeling the reality of the surrounding environment. It reminds her of that long-missed feeling of freedom. How about it? Kang Jinyuk smiles. Making a deal with me was a good choice, wasn't it? Alice turns her head and simply says, not bad. As the two walk downward, Kang Jinyuk activates his skill, the Blessing of the Stars, using its divine power to purify the frozen tear while continuing to increase his mana. Maintaining Alice's summoned state requires considerable mana from Kang Jinyuk. However, Kang Jinyuk suddenly wonders how the creatures in the tower view players. Humans know the game has become reality, but does Alice, who has lived for thousands of years, know she's just part of the game data? Alice, I have something I want to ask you. Suddenly, Kang Jinyuk's face becomes pixelated. Kang Jinyuk immediately understands. Seeing the terrifying scene just now, Alice asks if Kang Jinyuk said something frightening. Kang Jinyuk thinks to himself that it seems the possibility of communicating related information with creatures in the tower has been cut off at its source. At this moment, Alice becomes alert. Something's coming. In the sizzling sounds, there are crawling insect noises. Kang Jin-hyuk activates his fire element skill. Flames surge forward. Instantly, a giant beetle is engulfed in fire. Seeing this, Kang Jin-hyuk sneers. He used to call the underground first floor the spawning ground, because monsters continuously crawl out from the abyss. Alice finds the swarm of bugs utterly disgusting. Kang Jin-hyuk sends Alice away, instantly activating the skill blessing of the stars. In that moment, under the dazzling holy light, all monsters' physical defense is reduced by 30%. Kang Jin-hyuk immediately tells Alice to assist him. Alice initially wants to resist, but thinking of the power of the vampire centrifuge, she snorts coldly and complies, immediately activating Bloodbind. Countless beetles are restrained. Kang Jin-hyuk activates the stat gap skill. With 100 gap points, he can reduce a 33-level difference. In an instant, swordlight flashes. The congratulations for leveling up just won't stop. During this time, maintaining level 1 has been quite frustrating for Kang Jin-hyuk, so seeing the continuously surging beetles, while activating Grave of Swords, Kang Jin-hyuk just wants to say one thing: bring as many as you want, don't ever stop. The scene shifts. The boss of the Tower of Trial's third floor has left players worldwide helpless, even causing all the world's top guilds to unite and discuss countermeasures. Patrick, representative of Guild Titan, says heavily. The 8th raid on the third floor boss has also failed. This time, each guild sent 100 players, but only 9 survived. Actually, the third floor boss isn't that strong himself, but ridiculously, he can summon 100,000 statues, with a table-slapping sound. Tenwei, representative of Zhonghe Guild, states bluntly that even using legendary relics with similar summoning effects doesn't work. This boss is simply unsolvable. Maria from Olympus Guild shakes her head. We conquered the second and third floors too quickly. Players didn't have enough development time, and there are still too few high-level players. Park Jin-ho from Guild Dangun nods in agreement, saying that in addition, there are many forces like Zhonghe Guild that monopolize magic crystals and hoard massive dungeon resources, which has also worsened this situation. Hearing this, Tanwei loudly retorts, "You brat, you're targeting me." The two immediately start arguing. Patrick sees this and thinks, sure enough, the premise of discussion is internal fighting first. But he's not in the mood for this now, stopping the two while Maria asks Patrick if he has any plans. Patrick says with a headache that recently some demonic ones have contacted him. They said if we agree to one condition, they have a way to help us attack the third floor. Hearing about cooperating with those demonic one trash, dismissive shouts immediately fill the entire room. Teresa is also horrified at the thought of cooperating with demonic ones. But she also understands that after the game became reality, the influence of major guilds is extraordinary, and their reputation for justice has become increasingly important. In short, all organizations are desperately trying to avoid any involvement with forces like the demonic ones. At this moment, a candle flickers. From the ignited furnace fire comes a person's voice. Hearing you call us trash really breaks my heart. Having self-respect is good, but the fact that your strength is completely inadequate is also true. In rolling demonic energy, a demonic one suddenly appears before everyone, seeing a demonic one actually come to their door. Park Jin-ho flips the table and moves forward to eliminate the opponent. Tanwei swings his sword, expressing the same view as Park Jin-ho. The demonic one sneers. Quite the temper. You can attack after hearing my conditions, because we have a way to defeat the boss. Park Jin-ho tells the demonic one to stop talking nonsense. Demonic ones total less than 100 people. Where do you get the strength to fight an army of 100,000? People can be created where there are none. The demonic one's staff strikes the ground hard. Dark Grave Keeper has been activated. Patrick looks out the window. Countless skeleton soldiers are actually drilling out from the earth. He knows this is a necromancy skill that most demonic ones know. However, this scale isn't enough in his eyes. Unless... Patrick suddenly looks at the staff in the demonic one's hand. Looks like you recognize it. This is indeed the special equipment made from 99 materials, the Staff of Greed. Tanwei furrows his brow. Staff of Greed plus a necromancer could indeed possibly clear it, but this draws Maria's rebuttal. Demonic ones are still demonic ones. Park Jin-ho also thinks they should immediately eliminate the opponent now, but if the news of their cooperation with demonic ones isn't leaked, this might not be a bad method. Seeing the wavering morale, Teresa breaks out in a cold sweat. She thinks everyone has gone crazy. They should never cooperate with demonic ones under any circumstances. She suddenly thinks of Kang Jin-hyuk. If Kang Jin-hyuk were here, he would never compromise with the current situation. Just as Teresa is pondering what to do, a video invitation comes from outside. Inviter, Kang Jin-hyuk. Do you accept the video invitation? Teresa happily accepts Kang Jin-hyuk's video invitation. Kang Jin-hyuk discovers that Teresa's surroundings are chaotic and noisy. There's even a demonic one present. Seeing someone eavesdropping, the demonic one immediately demands to know where this rat came from. The next second, the video call has switched to a group call, under the shocked gazes of the guild representatives. They discover the person in the video is actually the super rookie they've been desperately seeking. Unknown. This delights all the guild leaders who want to connect with him, making them salivate. Interesting, the demonic one also knows how formidable this unknown player is. But this boss is different from the ruins you faced before. Only we demonic ones have the ability to clear the third floor now, Kang Jin-yek sneers. With that fake staff of yours, I don't think you have a chance. This draws the demonic one's rebuttal. The heart of an adult, burial clothes soaked in holy oil. Clearly you were missing these two items when synthesizing the staff. Patrick asks Kang Jin-yuk if this statement has any basis. Kang Jin-yuk says coldly, a real staff of greed would have a ruby embedded beneath the skull. Moreover, with only 3 floors of the Tower of Trials open, it's impossible to craft a real staff of greed. Finally, notice how those summoned skeletons look completely frail. This demonic one is obviously trying to bluff you, then swindle away a large batch of your resources and equipment before disappearing. Hearing the truth exposed, the demonic one curses, bastard, but still says, you'll regret not accepting my proposal. And this matter won't end. I'll keep watching you. As the demonic one disappears, the skeletons outside also dissipate. Seeing this scene, Patrick looks worried. He asks, so what do we do now? Kang Jin-yek speaks up, leave it to me, this way you won't need to ally with demonic ones and can still complete the tower attack mission. Patrick asks what this means. Are you planning to challenge solo again? Kang Jin-yek nods. Hearing this, the guild representatives each have their own thoughts. Even if this plan fails, it's still a chance to build a closer relationship with Kang Jin-yek. Not to mention, compared to cooperating with demonic ones, this choice is almost guaranteed profit. Tanwei asks, how much payment do you need? Maria directly offers that her Olympus guild would provide financial support. Patrick still wants to express that Guild Titan's funding is more reliable, while Park Jin-ho states that Guild Dangun will provide everything. I don't want any payment. Just let me enter the 3rd floor and block off the entire area during that time so no other players can enter. Maria asks, then what's your motivation? Tanwei also expresses doubt about Kang Jin-yuk's motives, if I must say. To help a precious companion, this is what I should do. After saying this, Kang Jin-yuk himself finds it disgustingly cheesy, pinching his thigh hard to calm himself down. Teresa is already immersed in indescribable emotions. Park Jin-ho exclaims in admiration, shouting that this is truly admirable friendship. Seeing this, Kang Jin-yuk smiles to himself. If it were someone else, they would undoubtedly demand deposits and rewards without hesitation. But that would be short-sighted. What he values is the guild's evaluation of him. Being willing to forego rewards for a companion, these words will bring him benefits far exceeding what he deserves. Furthermore, he has already recorded that conversation. Deleting the video after the demonic one appeared, he has other uses for it. And now in less than a day, he has already reached level 12. Everything is going smoothly. But at this moment, a complaining voice rings out. You brat, come help quickly. Do you want to exhaust me to death? It turns out Alice is desperately helping Kang Jin-yuk grind monsters on the side. Hearing his vampire pet complain that grinding is exhausting, Kang Jin-yuk plans to buy a mana restoration potion for Alice to replenish her mana. Who would have thought the potion has no effect on vampires at all? Vampires can only replenish mana through one method, blood sucking. Kang Jin-yuk tells Alice to calm down. But the next second, Alice satisfyingly wipes the corner of her mouth and asks the completely numb Kang Jin-yuk what to do next. Kang Jin-yuk opens the shop, just saying he needs to buy some things first. But seeing the items Kang Jin-yuk buys, Alice asks, why are they all useless things? Kang Jin-yuk smiles, they'll be very useful later. Speaking of which, the two arrive at the edge of an abyss. Alice, we're going to be extremely busy next, because we need to reach the end of this floor within a day. Hold on to me. The next second, before Alice can react, Kang Jin-yuk leaps directly into the abyss. Alice asks in panic, do you know how deep this is? And you just jump. Kang Jin-yuk remains silent, but he's very clear in his mind. He's jumped from here more than 100 times. Seeing they're about to reach the bottom, Alice, now. The next second, skill reverse gravity is activated. Alice gasps and complains, you guy, your recklessness is truly frightening. But at this moment, Alice becomes alert. Kang Jin-yuk, be careful. In an instant, fire element skill activates. Don't worry, Kang Jin-yuk comforts Alice. The next second, in the firelight, various insects crawl out. These little bugs are useless against me. You might as well show yourself. The boss is a bit surprised. You know me? Kang Jin-yuk says calmly. You're the hound who prowls the desert, Anubis. Seeing an interesting human appear, Anubis wants to play a bit more, but Kang Jin-yuk directly says, don't waste time, make your move. This causes Anubis to laugh heartily. You want to challenge me, a god? At this time, Alice also senses something ominous about the guy in front of them, about to stop him and tell Kang Jin-yuk to run first. Alice's concern somewhat surprises Kang Jin-yuk. However, don't worry Alice, just watch from the side. Looking at the giant Anubis before him, Kang Jin-yuk says, now I'll show you what kind of person you're making a deal with. Interesting. Anubis extends his staff. Anubis activates his inherent ability, Anubis's judgment. While asking, tell me, did you hear about my story from that vampire of yours? The first question has been posed. Anubis's judgment. This is an extremely powerful skill that issues absolute judgment on the answerer as long as they answer 3 questions. Kang Jin-yuk came specifically for this skill. As for the copying condition, make Anubis lose patience. The answers don't need to be truthful. Making things up is fine. Kang Jin-yuk nods and says that's right. Anubis sneers and asks the second question. Did you come here for the hive? Of course, that thing can sell for quite a bit on the black market. Just as Kang Jinyak answers the second question, a heart is placed on the phantom judge's scale behind him. So, let me ask you one final question. Do you think after coming to my territory you can still leave alive? Kang Jinyak sneers. If I can't handle you, I might as well find a block of tofu and bash my head against it. System notification, opponent has answered all questions. Anubis's judgment activates. In an instant, a phantom surges out from Kang Jinyak's body. Kang Jinyak receives a system notification. All ability values decrease by 50%. Forbidden from using inherent abilities and skills for 1 minute. Anubis sneers. Now I need an agent to carry out judgment for me. The next second, a giant black armored mantis appears before Kang Jinyak. Facing this extremely unfavorable battle situation, Kang Jinyak pulls out a mini gramophone. Gramophone can play a specified song, won't be destroyed until playback ends. Anubis is still wondering if this kid has been scared silly. Kang Jinyak closes his eyes to feel the rhythm of the music, answering, of course not, as Mantis launches its attack. Kang Jinyak extends his dance moves, saying, watch closely, I'm going to immerse myself in music, you stupid dog. And with the music's performance, Kang Jinyak can perfectly dodge Mantis's attacks. That's right, this song was specifically chosen by Kang Jinyak. The music's beat can precisely correspond to Mantis's attack rhythm. By following the beat, he can dodge perfectly. This scene leaves even Anubis dumbfounded. He immediately realizes this kid came prepared, and calculating the time, it's about right. Instantly, the effect of Anubis's judgment skill expires. A cold light flashes in Kang Jinyak's hand. Grave of Swords activates, instantly chopping Mantis to pieces. But Mantis's severed limbs rapidly regenerate. Agents chosen by Anubis gain immortal abilities. Kang Jinyak can win countless times, but Mantis only needs to win once. But Kang Jinyak sneers. There's something more terrifying than death, and that's a fate worse than death. Instantly, severed limbs keep flying. Blood from Mantis's mouth flows uncontrollably. Alice on the side is completely shocked by Kang Jinyak's strength, but she smiles slightly. She suddenly feels that Kang Jinyak's promise to help her seek revenge might not be empty words. At this time, Mantis falls. Anubis keeps making Mantis stand up. However, even though Mantis, as an agent, is a warrior who takes pride in accepting divine choice, the fear Kang Jinyak has given it almost makes it collapse. And now Kang Jinyak plans to deliver the final blow to its supposedly invincible will. That is humiliation and provocation. Thinking of this, Kang Jinyak directly sits on Mantis's head. Mantis uses all its strength to straighten its posture, then places its own blade against its own neck. Anubis's agent has died. The agent's unprecedented suicide makes Anubis question his existence. The experience of defeating Mantis levels Kang Jinyak up, and simultaneously, a dazzling blue light shines on his body. The spellbook of the Peltaros Dukedom. Once interpreted, users can learn ice magic. This is a good item, only obtainable from mid to upper floors. Kang Jinyak instantly realizes this is the Monopoly skill activating, giving him the best possible reward. At the same time, system notification. You have learned skill ice sculpture. You have activated skill ice sculpture. Anubis snarls. I admit you've got something, but do you think you can contend with me? Kang Jinyak sneers. You haven't even made a move yet, and you're putting on airs just hiding on the 42nd floor, you coward. Anubis is startled, asking why Kang Jinyak would fight him, knowing he's just a consciousness and not the real body. Why? Because it's fun, of course. Am I a plaything in your eyes? Anubis is enraged, shouting insolent 3 times. The next second, Anubis activates the hive. The hive can summon giant bees infinitely. Kang Jinyak activates ice sculpture, instantly killing several giant bees. But to deal with swarming monsters, ice sculpture alone isn't enough. In that case, Kang Jinyak uses fire element skill. At this moment, Kang Jinyak has fire in his left hand and ice sculpture in his right. Fusion skill successfully activates. System notification, you have acquired Skill Daylight. Skill Daylight can cause large area high damage. Watching Kang Jinyak descend like a god and instantly clear the field. Anubis decides to change strategy. First, he selects the hive as his agent, adding immortal ability while also being able to summon enhanced giant bees infinitely. In an instant, an enhanced giant bee is already attacking Kang Jinyak. Kang Jinyak activates skill ice sculpture. While instantly killing the giant bee, he discovers this little thing actually splits after each death. In the blink of an eye, 1 becomes 4. Anubis has already started mocking that Kang Jinyak is doomed. Kang Jinyak, having anticipated this, takes out a capsule. Enlargement pill can expand an opponent's size up to 10 times. Kang Jinyak waves his hand, instantly throwing the pill into the giant bee's mouth. System notification, enlargement pill will take effect in 1 minute. Kang Jinyak leaps into the air, stepping on the giant bee. Gripping the steering wheel with both hands, he performs a death drift. Watching a group of giant bees bumping around like headless flies, Anubis quickly becomes a commander directing the battle. Although immortal bodies plus infinitely splitting monsters would make people despair, it's not without countermeasures. After Kang Jinyak lures all the giant bees near the hive, he immediately bounces and leaps into the air. System notification, you have used Mysterious Cube. A cube appears out of nowhere, instantly trapping all giant bees along with the hive. Seeing this, the various items Kang Jin-hyuk bought earlier are also put to use at this moment. You have strengthened the cube by synthesizing 4 pieces of equipment. The giant bees inside the cube sense danger and start frantically ramming, but still cannot break through. As Kang Jin-hyuk lands, fire element skill activates. In an instant, flames fill the entire cube. But that's not all. The enlargement pill takes effect simultaneously. The continuously growing giant bees are forced to harm each other in the cramped space. System notification: enlargement pill has dropped, split, and dying giant bees have become one enlargement pill after another. At the same time, massive experience points make Kang Jin-hyuk's level rise unstoppably. Anubis is directly stunned by this magical operation of grinding levels and items simultaneously. He can't believe Kang Jin-hyuk had prepared various countermeasures for him in advance, unless this is a trap. That's right. The opponent must have known the hive's characteristics and deliberately provoked him for this purpose. In rage and frustration, Anubis makes a decision. He suddenly clenches his fist. System notification: Anubis has destroyed the hive. Kang Jin-hyuk secretly exclaims, "What a pity." He wanted to grind more enlargement pills for attacking the 3rd floor. Feeling himself constantly outmaneuvered by Kang Jin-hyuk, Anubis stomps his feet in anger, then points at Kang Jin-hyuk and says harshly, "You better live to reach the 42nd floor." Kang Jin-hyuk softly says, "Don't worry, I'll go up there without you worrying about it. By then, I'll personally judge you." The next second, Anubis' statue shatters. System notification: you have completed the task of destroying Anubis' consciousness. You have acquired skill Anubis' judgment. Anubis' judgment. As long as the opponent answers 3 questions, they will be forbidden from using skills for 1 minute. Additionally, it can only be used once per target. System notification: ancient Egyptian gods are very interested in you. But the next second, several gods have shown great hostility toward you. Kang Jin-hyuk immediately understands. That little dog went to tattle to his master. Alice is still somewhat confused about what happened. Anyway, I won, and that guy got angry and went offline. Kang Jin-hyuk's level has now reached 19, after allocating some attribute points. System notification: you have a video invitation. Kang Jin-hyuk is surprised, and he tells Alice to step aside first. After the video connects unexpectedly, it's Cheon Yu-song. He calls, urging Kang Jin-hyuk for another duel. Kang Jin-hyuk is about to refuse when he hears Cheon Yu-song explain that this sparring session is somewhat special. Recently, the Awakener Association will hold a martial arts tournament, and all AA-level players, including himself, will participate. Kang Jin-hyuk says that has nothing to do with him. He previously hit his strength and his rating is still F level, so he's not qualified to participate. Cheon Yu-song continues meaningfully. The person who wins the tournament championship can exercise 2 rights. One is to choose any legendary relic. The other is to designate any player who didn't participate in the competition for a sparring match. Kang Jin-hyuk feels something ominous. He hears Cheon Yu-song shout, "This time I will definitely defeat you in front of everyone. But don't worry, as long as you can beat me, I can give you a black market invitation." The so-called black market refers to auction houses that provide offline trading for players after the Tower of Trials appeared. Besides using cash transactions, participants must also be invited to attend. Kang Jin-hyuk needs to buy some equipment for attacking the 3rd floor, so this is a good opportunity. At this time, the system notifies Kang Jin-hyuk that his uploaded video has made it to trending. It's the video of his agreement with various guilds to solo attack the 3rd floor. Under the continuous failures of various guilds challenging the 3rd floor, Unknown has decided to solo the 3rd level. Such a topic immediately explodes across the internet. This video soars to 50 million views, while also earning Kang Jin-hyuk 500,000 coins in compensation. Although after deducting the 90% handling fee only 50,000 remains, it's still not bad. And now, Kang Jin-hyuk yawns. He can only hope this boring martial arts tournament ends quickly. This martial arts tournament has 24 AA-level players participating, and it's being live-streamed throughout. Such high-level duels are meant to make people truly feel the strength of high-level players, and maintain confidence in guilds given the prolonged inability to conquer the 3rd floor. In other words, it's a show. In the audience, people from the Awakener Association secretly admire that all contestants are very high-level. However, Hong Deokpyo, representative of Guild Black Cloud, only has eyes for one person. The one he's watching is Cheon Yu-song. In his eyes, Cheon Yu-song's offensive and defensive rhythm is perfectly natural, and more importantly, his swordsmanship is simply masterful. He previously brought huge sums to invite Cheon Yu-song to join his guild. Although rejected, he became even more optimistic about this young man. At this moment, with a bored complaint, someone sneers. "If I went up there, I would have beaten them all down long ago." The speaker is Guild Black Cloud's new generation seed player, Jong Do-yeon. In Hong Dopyo's eyes, Jong Do-yeon has the ability to become S-level within 3 years, a guild prodigy. He values Jong Do-yeon highly. However, this guy is a bit pretentious, which isn't a good trait. At this time, the competition on stage becomes more intense. But in the tension, sword light flashes. One person charges through like entering an uninhabited realm, instantly defeating all opponents. This person is Cheon Yu-song, with the declaration of a victor. Reporters also ask whether Cheon Yu-song will choose a legendary relic or designate an opponent to challenge. Cheon Yusong stands with sword in hand, saying coldly, "I want to exercise my right to challenge, and my opponent is you." The sword edge points to Zhang Do-yeon, who looks excited. He didn't expect Cheon Yusong to choose him, but Hong Dopyo instantly presses down on his shoulder. "The person he designated isn't you." His blade and gaze are focused on a position higher than ours, as Zhang Do-yeon questions it. The person behind him says, "You really know how to cause trouble for people." The one standing up behind Zhang Do-yeon is Kang Jin-yek. The guild people sitting nearby are shocked and quickly investigate the opponent's identity, only to discover the challenged person is merely an F level with the lowest strength. But watching Kang Jin-yek calmly approach the arena, only Cheon Yusong knows how terrifying the person before him is. Kang Jin-yek says helplessly, "You've already lost to me 138 times. After losing this time, can you please leave me alone? Don't talk like I'm definitely going to lose." Cheon Yusong says with championship momentum, "You should have seen my strength just now." Kang Jin-yek nods. "Seems like you've been training very seriously recently." Cheon Yusong grits his teeth, more than seriously, to defeat Kang Jin-yek. He hasn't dared to stop for even a second. "Come on, use your full strength and have a proper match with me." The next second, in Blue Sword Light, Cheon Yusong activates Skill Soul Chasing Sword Dance. Type 2 Soul Chasing Flames. Seeing this, Kang Jin-yek activates Fire Element Skill. In that case, you little follower should also learn to give up. After a battle, intense firelight has already melted the hall's roof. Huge icicles are scattered everywhere. In the smoke and dust, Cheon Yusong looks with indescribable confusion. "Just how many skills do you have, you brat?" The next second, he collapsed powerlessly to the ground. Kang Jin-yek calmly walked over to Cheon Yusong's side and took the black market invitation that had been agreed upon earlier. The other spectators were stunned to see F-rank Kang Jin-yek display such incredible combat power. Meanwhile, Kang Jin-yek approached some old acquaintances. Lee Yuri and the old man had both been defeated by Kang Jin-yek before, and they had promised to lend their strength when Kang Jin-yek needed it in the future. Now seeing that their abilities had grown considerably, Kang Jin-yek planned to ask Lee Yuri for her phone number for future contact. As Lee Yuri hesitated, she heard Kang Jin-yek say, "If it's inconvenient, forget it," and she was about to decline. "But if you don't give it, you'd better think carefully about the consequences." This frightened Lee Yuri into quickly giving him her number. At that moment, loud laughter echoed from the spectator seats. The person called out "Excellent" while stepping into the arena. "I thought you were just an ordinary F rank, but I didn't expect you to be ridiculously strong." Looking at the newcomer, Kang Jin-yek activated his Eye of Truth, obtaining the opponent's attribute panel. At the same time, he learned that the copying condition was to recognize the opponent's true intention for approaching him. Seeing that the system seemed to have already recognized the opponent's purpose, Kang Jin-yek was somewhat surprised. At this point, the man introduced himself as Zhang Do-yeon, saying he came on stage because he thought Kang Jin-yek was strong, and since he also had some ability, he wanted to make friends. Hearing this, golden light flashed in Kang Jin-yek's eyes. The Eye of Truth determined this statement to be false. In Kang Jin-yek's view, beneath the opponent's calm and composed exterior lay deep inferiority and anger, while reporters eager for juicy news surrounded them. Moreover, the guild master of Black Cloud Guild also showed an expectant expression. So his true purpose was to subdue this super rookie who had risen to fame by defeating Cheon Yusong in front of the reporters, thus attracting widespread attention. This thought flashed through Kang Jin-yek's mind, and the system prompted, "You have seen through Zhang Do-yeon's intentions. You have copied the opponent's skill Titan's Grip, which can multiply your grip strength." Seeing this, Kang Jin-yek almost laughed out loud. In the past, in the Tower of Trials, due to too few players, the skills he could copy were very limited. But after the game became reality, he not only got the chance to copy numerous skills, but people also delivered themselves to his door. "Interesting, so you're representing Black Cloud Guild to shake hands with me?" Zhang Do-yeon nodded with a smile. "If possible, I'd like to invite you to join our guild. If I join the guild, how much salary can I get? However much you want, we'll give you that much." "Then one last question. Do you think your grip strength is superior to mine?" Zhang Do-yeon's lips curved upward. Instantly, the skill Titan's Grip activated. While he responded, "Isn't that obvious?" But the next second, Zhang Do-yeon's expression froze. His ability had somehow failed to activate just now, and at this moment Anubis's judgment had already activated. The next second, Kang Jin-yek asked, "Weren't you confident in your grip strength?" The opponent cried out in pain, unable to help but kneel from the agony. Kang Jin-yek continued to provoke, "Why are you reacting so dramatically now?" The intense pain made Zhang Do-yeon unable to resist swinging his fist at Kang Jin-yek. But the next second, Kang Jin-yek snorted coldly and directly punched Zhang Do-yeon. Zhang Do-yeon was instantly sent flying and collapsed unconscious on the ground. At that moment, a red lightning bolt suddenly flashed across Kang Jin-yek's shoulder. Amid the thunderous roar, Kang Jin-yek instantly dodged to a distance. At the same time, his Eye of Truth activated. Then he saw the person who had attacked him, Hong Dopyo, the guild master of Black Cloud Guild. The condition for copying the opponent's skill was to destroy his self-esteem. It seemed the opponent was preparing to avenge his guild member Zhang Do-yeon. But Kang Jin-yek told Hong Dopyo to calm down. because Kang Jin-hyuk had no intention of letting his battle record advance to defeating guild bosses. Hearing Kang Jin-hyuk speak as if he had him figured out, Hong Dopyo gritted his teeth and said, "You don't know your place." While activating his skill Blood Demon Spirit, he charged toward Kang Jin-hyuk. Seeing this, Kang Jin-hyuk raised his left arm high. Instantly, the skill Daylight activated, disrupting the audience's vision to ensure his true strength wouldn't be exposed too much. At the same time, Kang Jin-hyuk swung his longsword and activated the skill gap, instantly blocking Hong Dopyo. Seeing this, a bead of cold sweat formed on Hong Dopyo's forehead. His Blood Demon Spirit couldn't even stop the second-floor boss of the Tower of Trials, the giant god warrior. Yet Hong Dopyo roared that this young man was blocking it so easily. It was ridiculous. But just as the two were about to continue fighting, a green aura filled the space between them. System notification, level 4 skill mediation has been activated. Stop it. This martial arts tournament is highly watched, and you should show people a reliable image. Shouldn't you, Awakeners? The newcomer was none other than Han Sangjin, the guild master of the Awakener Guild. Kang Jin-hyuk knew this person was the leader of domestic Awakeners, wondering why he had come at this time. Hong Dopyo had already complained to Han Sangjin about Kang Jin-hyuk injuring their guild members. But to Hong Dopyo's shocked gaze, Han Sangjin simply said, "Since it's a competition, getting hurt is normal." Han Sangjin then approached Kang Jin-hyuk. He couldn't help but recall the message he had received 20 minutes ago. The tournament organizer had reported to him that a mysterious player with high combat power but only F-rank rating had appeared at the venue. Sensing there was more to the story, he immediately investigated the evaluator who had assessed Kang Jin-hyuk. Unexpectedly, it was Kang Jin-hyuk who had pressured the evaluator into changing the assessment results. Thinking this, Han Sangjin felt no anger at all. Instead, he politely said, "Mr. Kang Jin-hyuk, congratulations on becoming the 16th player in the country to receive an S-rank determination. Due to our association's error in giving you an incorrect grade assessment, I offer you my most sincere apologies." Hearing that Kang Jin-hyuk was actually the newly emerged 16th S-rank, all the reporters went crazy. This was big news. Hong Dopyo was stunned, and at his feet lay Zhang Doyeon, unconscious and utterly humiliated. He had originally planned to let Zhang Doyeon steal the spotlight, but now the spotlight had been stolen by someone else. He wanted to do something to salvage the situation. Grabbing a reporter, he announced that his Black Cloud Guild was prepared with a special strategy for publicly attacking the third-floor boss. But the reporter, with his clothes grabbed by Hong Dopyo, shook him off and didn't even want his shirt back, hurrying toward Kang Jin-hyuk instead. Looking at the shirt in his hands, Hong Dopyo fell into deep thought. While Kang Jin-hyuk basked in the spotlight under countless camera flashes, Hong Dopyo's expression darkened. He then threw down the shirt and left on his own. At the same time, the copying condition was met. "You have copied the skill Blood Demon Spirit." Scene change, Kang Jin-hyuk was now arranged on a plane in first class. Not only did the flight attendants greet him with smiles, they also prepared an exquisite dinner for him. All this was simply because he was Korea's newly emerged S-rank player. As the nation's 16th S-rank player to emerge from nowhere, Kang Jin-hyuk not only caused heated discussion online, but even the Awakener Association's guild master, upon learning that Kang Jin-hyuk was going to Las Vegas, immediately arranged a plane for him. However, just as Kang Jin-hyuk was leisurely enjoying his meal, Alice's serious voice came from the ring. Alice told Kang Jin-hyuk to pay attention to a white-clothed man traveling with them on the plane, stating directly that there was something about him that made her feel sick. For something to make her, a vampire, feel disgusted, this person was definitely not simple. Hearing this, Kang Jin-hyuk activated his Eye of Truth, but his pupils couldn't help but contract. He learned the opponent's name was Alex, and the condition for copying the opponent's skill was actually to join the Demonic Ones Association. In other words, beneath this guy's calm exterior, he was a completely mad demonic one. At this point, Alex casually approached Kang Jin-hyuk, asking with apparent surprise if he was the new S-rank that had emerged domestically. Being targeted by a demonic one was definitely not coincidental. While Kang Jin-hyuk speculated about the opponent's intentions, he kindly and directly admitted his identity. Hearing this, Alex immediately handed over his business card and invited Kang Jin-hyuk to have a drink nearby. Kang Jin-hyuk was prepared to play along with the opponent and didn't refuse. So, over drinks and conversation, after the two had exchanged a lot of meaningless pleasantries, Alex swirled his wine glass and tentatively said that his visit to K Country, besides ordinary business matters, was also to expand his Awakener-related ventures. However, he sighed, saying he had encountered some minor setbacks while expanding his business. Alex then asked if Kang Jin-hyuk knew about the recently popular masked player Unknown. Kang Jin-hyuk nodded. "I heard he's planning to challenge the third floor solo." Alex stated directly that their company had originally wanted to participate in this third floor attack, but Unknown had disrupted their plans. Although the opponent claimed to protect companions, he was actually just preventing others from ruining his own plans. Kang Jin-hyuk inquired, "From what you're saying, it sounds like you know Unknown?" Alex nodded. Seeing this guy lying through his teeth in front of him, the actual Unknown, Kang Jin-hyuk was speechless. At this point, Alex threw out the bait, taking the opportunity to invite Kang Jin-hyuk to join them in attacking the third floor. Kang Jinhyuk mentioned that Unknown had previously announced that others were prohibited from entering while he attacked the third floor. S-rank players have the right to act independently. With you there, we can enter, and we can also obtain the hidden items in the boss room. Kang Jinhyuk instantly understood the opponent's purpose. They wanted to use him to enter while the guilds were blocking the third floor. Kang Jinhyuk shook his head in refusal, saying he had just received his S-rank evaluation and had no intention of immediately offending other guilds. Alex smiled, saying as a businessman, he would naturally provide appropriate compensation. Have you ever heard of a type of elixir, whether you're terminally ill or on the brink of death? It can instantly heal you. This is the holy water I have in my possession. Alex directly handed this precious item to Kang Jinhyuk. This bottle of holy water can be considered advance payment for asking your help. Of course, provided you first sign this contract. At the same time, the system prompted, Alex has activated the skill contract of the dead. Kang Jinhyuk knew that while this contract looked ordinary, once the signatory signed but failed to fulfill their promise, it would become a death contract demanding the signatory's life. But there was no danger if he didn't sign. So Kang Jinhyuk pushed the contract away, using the excuse that he must be cautious about his relationships with various guilds, and refused the opponent again. Alex sighed regretfully. In that case, please return the holy water to us. But Kang Jinhyuk waved his hand dismissively. Alex was stunned, asking what Kang Jinhyuk meant. Although I'm cautious by nature, I'm equally greedy. Whatever I set my sights on, I must obtain no matter what. Alex's expression changed, growling, "What nonsense are you spouting?" The next second, violent tremors shook the cabin. Alex was shocked that Kang Jinhyuk had suddenly released so much magical power. What was he going crazy about? At this moment, the tremors suddenly stopped, and the flight attendant's announcement came over the speakers. The aircraft is passing through a sudden warm air mass. Please return to your seats and pay attention to safety, Kang Jinhyuk said quietly. Seems I should follow the announcement's advice and return to my seat, Alex asked through gritted teeth. You knew my identity all along, didn't you? Kang Jinhyuk nodded, also complimenting his acting skills. Alex threatened, you won't get away with this, and Unknown will make you pay for it too. Hearing this, Kang Jinhyuk laughed mockingly. Who are you kidding? Your people got schooled so badly by Unknown at the Olympus meeting. And you still have the nerve to claim you're working with Unknown? Alex's expression changed, both shocked at how Kang Jinhyuk knew about this matter, and suspicious whether the opponent had some relationship with Unknown. Though it was also possible that his S-rank status had led other guilds to share information with him. Before leaving, Kang Jinhyuk didn't forget to add one more jab. You know what? If you had been nicer just now, I might have told you about Unknown. See you next time. At the same time, the plane reached its destination. Walking through the unfamiliar city, what came into view was a uniquely modern urban landscape. Is this a human city? Alice said with curiosity. It looks pretty good. As a reward for Alice helping him discover the demon, Kang Jinhyuk had agreed to let Alice come out and move around freely. However, while walking, Kang Jinhyuk still wanted to make some preparations for the upcoming action. He activated his fusion skill, instantly fusing Eye of Truth with Blood Demon Spirit. With the successful fusion notification, you have obtained Eye of Gluttony. Eye of Gluttony can bypass any barrier and comes with the additional skills Vision Share and Mind Reading. However, due to the influence of Blood Demon Spirit, frequent use carries the risk of mental contamination. Although Kang Jinhyuk had better fusion methods, this was all he could do for now. At this point, Alice pointed to a luxuriously decorated building and asked, Are we going there? Kang Jinhyuk shook his head. Magic can't be used in there. We're going to another interesting place. Hearing there might be some fun, Alice's eyes immediately lit up with excitement. Then the two arrived in front of a building several times smaller. While Alice was somewhat skeptical whether there was really any fun in this shabby building before them, she heard someone shout, I saw that guy cheating with my own eyes. A blonde guy got thoroughly beaten up by someone on the street. Bullshit, you use skills too. Remember, in here, losers are idiots. Kang Jinhyuk thought to himself, exactly right. Then the two entered the building, and the interior was satisfactory enough for Alice. But the next second, Kang Jinhyuk lifted Alice up and placed her on a nearby seat, saying to the server, Give her whatever she wants to drink, I'll pay the bill. Seeing that Kang Jinhyuk only planned to have her stay here, Alice immediately felt restless. Kang Jinhyuk whispered, Don't worry, I'm just going to earn some chips for the auction. I'll be back soon. Meanwhile, at a card table, Pedro activated his skill Advanced Blockade while drawing 2 cards from the deck. This skill prevented others from tampering with the cards. Seeing his cards were good, he felt relieved. He had already lost over $500,000 to the man across from him, but now his luck was good. It was time to turn the tables. So he decided to try playing big. Kang Jinhyuk contemplated, and also pushed all his money forward, saying all in. While asking, the stakes are quite high now, can you handle it? Pedro responded, of course. Then he heard Kang Jinhyuk ask, which guild manages this place? It's invested and operated by the Scavenger Guild. Pedro was still curious why the opponent was suddenly asking him questions. Can't customers ask questions here? Pedro quickly shook his head, saying you can ask whatever you want. However, he felt tense inside, guessing whether the opponent was going to use mind reading to observe his expressions. But it didn't matter. Time to reveal the cards. Now the cards were selected by his skill. Others couldn't tamper with them, but he could. Skill sleight of hand activated. Cards revealed, but the cards hadn't changed. His skill had somehow failed. Kang Jinhyuk looked at this opponent who planned to use underhanded tactics, and simply revealed his cards, saying, "Looks like I won." Under Eye of Gluttony and Anubis's judgment, the opponent's petty tricks were laughable. However, just as Kang Jinhyuk was about to collect his winnings, wait a minute. Urgent footsteps approached, as a group of people instantly surrounded Kang Jinhyuk. Kang Jinhyuk immediately understood. They weren't planning to let him leave with this money. "Is this how you treat customers? Someone who takes away such a large sum isn't our customer." The redhead added, "Quick, take him away." Hearing this, Kang Jinhyuk laughed coldly. The next second, amid a whistling sound, I suddenly remembered something I heard when I first arrived here. What was it? Oh right. In here, losers are idiots. If you're going to be ruthless, don't blame me for being merciless. While dodging a bullet, Kang Jinhyuk instantly pinned the shooter to the ground. Other customers cheered as well. Alice was immersed in the wine in her hand, asking about its name. The server replied this wine was called Kiss of Fire, symbolizing the passionate love of lovers in love. Alice murmured, "Passionate love. How boring." At this time, the black shop's manager was going crazy, asking why the guild people hadn't arrived yet, only to be told it would be at least another half hour. His heart immediately filled with dread. The opponent's strength far exceeded expectations. At this moment, his subordinate told him something big had happened. The redhead cursed. What could be bigger than what's happening right now? The next second, his expression changed. Something really big had happened. What he held was the news of Kang Jinhyuk being rated S rank. There were only about 20 S-rank existences in Las Vegas, and he had encountered one here. He immediately realized that if the opponent intended to cause serious damage here, his shop would be reduced to rubble in an instant. So amid a loud shout of "Stop!" the redhead tore open his collar, then fell to his knees with a thud, saying, "Dear customer, we were blind and have offended you. Please forgive us." Kang Jinhyuk immediately understood. The opponent had apparently learned about his S-rank status. However, this bullying the weak and fearing the strong attitude was truly disgusting. However, I might be able to give you a chance for me to forgive you, along with my winnings, plus a satisfactory compensation payment, and we'll call it even. How about that? Soon after, Kang Jinhyuk's phone received a transfer notification, and at this time, his pre-arranged car had also arrived. This was a special car to the auction. Sitting inside, he couldn't see the scenery outside. Kang Jinhyuk was surprised that the auction's location was so secretive, which also aroused his curiosity. When he got out of the car again, Kang Jinhyuk found himself in front of an exquisitely decorated building. Alice was already urging Kang Jinhyuk to quickly let her out. With light footsteps, Alice looked at the impressive decor around them and immediately smiled. "This place looks worthy of my noble blood relative status." Kang Jinhyuk instructed Alice to keep a low profile. The auction is full of people with various ulterior motives. Walking among them, some people who had obtained inside information were already starting to discuss what genuine items might appear at this auction. Due to the appearance of the Tower of Trials, many previously unseen treasures had emerged endlessly. But at this moment, Alice caught a strange scent. It was the disgusting smell of demons that made her sick. Suddenly, a greeting voice came from beside them. "Nice to meet you. I'm Julius Kedrick, the teacher of this idiot next to me." Looking at Alex's beaten face, Kang Jinhyuk sneered, activating Eye of Gluttony, instantly obtaining Julius's panel information. The opponent's inherent ability was a powerful skill that complemented his necromancer profession, which somewhat surprised Kang Jinhyuk. The condition for copying the opponent's skill was to follow the opponent in learning black magic courses and achieve an A+ grade. Kang Jinhyuk thought speechlessly whether the system didn't want him to copy the opponent's skill, giving such a ridiculous condition. Then he heard Julius say that he had come to inquire about the information Kang Jinhyuk possessed regarding Unknown. But Kang Jinhyuk simply said maybe next time and was about to leave. However, Julius extended his staff to block Kang Jinhyuk. "Unfortunately, there won't be a next time. I'm in a hurry. Since that's the case, then it's none of my business." Then he left directly with Alice. Julius told Alex not to be impulsive. He had other ways to teach Kang Jinhyuk a lesson. On the other side, Alice asked whether she should directly eliminate those demonic ones. Kang Jinhyuk sighed. "Now is not the time to cause trouble. We have business to attend to. Ladies and gentlemen, the auction is about to begin." Kang Jinhyuk brought Alice into the auction hall. The first auction item is a meteorite with a starting price of 100,000. Although it was cheap, Kang Jinhyuk understood it was because there were no blacksmiths who could work with meteoric iron yet. He immediately bid 300,000, then sat waiting to take it home. But amid a bid of 1 million, the demonic ones who had been at odds with Kang Jinhyuk earlier actually outbid him. While Kang Jinhyuk wondered what these two were up to, unexpectedly, every time he bid afterward, the opponent would double the price. After several auction items, Kang Jinhyuk understood. The opponent was targeting him, not wanting him to obtain what he wanted. Thinking this, Kang Jinhyuk decided to play with the opponent. Next, Kang Jinhyuk bid frantically. regardless of whether it was useful to him, even bidding without listening to the complete introduction. And Julius would follow every bid to compete. During this period, Kang Jin-hyuk would deliberately drive the price up to millions. Julius would also double the price and buy it himself. Seeing they had already spent tens of millions, Alex asked his teacher if they were being too wasteful with money. Hearing this, Julius directly beat up Alex. "Idiot, what if he gets what he wants? Although it's a bit wasteful now, as long as we can get what that guy wants, we can use it to exchange for the intelligence we want." At this time, something appeared at the auction specifically for chess enthusiasts, the earliest international chessboard. Others weren't particularly interested in this, but amid Alice's confusion, Kang Jin-hyuk made his move, bidding 50,000. Julius followed with 100,000, then 150,000, 500,000, 1 million. Julius directly bid 8 million. Kang Jin-hyuk remained silent for a moment, and called out his limit of 10 million. But with a cold laugh, Julius directly bid 30 million. At the same time, he understood this was what Kang Jin-hyuk wanted, and Kang Jin-hyuk's limit was only 10 million. Kang Jin-hyuk's expression changed. Earlier, he had already wasted 70 million of the opponent's money, but unexpectedly, the opponent still had so much money left. Just as the opponent was about to succeed in their bid, 100 million, Alice stood up and directly stated a despairing price. Hearing the opponent wanted to spend 100 million on a broken chessboard, Julius was also dumbfounded. Only Alice had a watch my operation look, reassuring Kang Jin-hyuk. Julius knew he couldn't fail at this crucial moment. He prepared to bid 110 million. But 200 million. Alice looked disdainfully at this guy who dared challenge her, showing a deadly gaze. This completely broke Julius's defense, immediately questioning whether the opponent even had 200 million in assets. The auctioneer also asked Alice if she could prove her assets. Hearing this, Alice extended her hand, revealing a dimensional space behind her. The next second, "Is this enough?" Under Alice's queen-like bearing, countless treasures poured forth. A staff member picked up a crown and said tremblingly, "This one alone is worth $500 million. While Alice acted as if they had never seen the world before. Kang Jin-hyuk could only marvel. This is absolutely top-notch. As for Julius, his face had turned black. He said to Alex, "We lost this round. Prepare to implement Plan B." Seeing Alice help him buy the chessboard, Kang Jin-hyuk didn't know how to thank her. Alice said nonchalantly that she was just clearing out her overflowing inventory anyway. Besides, I can't let others make my contractor lose face. Unexpectedly, Alice would say such cute words, warming Kang Jin-hyuk's heart. But the next second, intense flames suddenly erupted from behind them. People were horrified as the surroundings seemed about to collapse, and fled toward the exits. But with a flash of blade light, "Where do you think you're going?" Alex went mad and instantly eliminated several people. At the same time, Alex had activated his skill magical furnace. Instantly, everyone's body swayed, feeling intense headaches. In the chaos, there were even children crying for help. Seeing this scene, Kang Jin-hyuk's expression turned cold, saying in a low voice, "You disgusting creature have crossed my bottom line." Alex nonchalantly used the corpses of the dead to summon blood demon after blood demon, while looking at the trembling Kang Jin-hyuk and saying, "Worthy of an S rank, this kind of magic didn't bring you down. But don't worry, I'll return every bit of humiliation I suffered on the plane to you completely. Death won't be your end. Go, finish him off." As his words fell, several blood demons instantly charged toward Kang Jin-hyuk. Amid the violent impact waves, seeing Kang Jin-hyuk dodge, Alex was still wondering where that little rich girl had gone. Kang Jin-hyuk whispered, "You're too ugly, she doesn't want to see you," while thinking to himself that under the influence of magical furnace, he didn't have enough magical power to support Alice's manifestation. Moreover, the damage from magical furnace was gradually intensifying. He couldn't delay too long. Instantly, his form exploded into action. Kang Jin-hyuk activated Grave of Swords, instantly killing several blood demons. Alex exclaimed in admiration. The next second, a magic circle formed in his hands as the dead bodies continuously fed power to him. Instantly, several more blood demons formed, and the previously killed blood demons also revived. Kang Jin-hyuk understood the opponent planned to rely on human wave tactics to wear him down. However, these tricks weren't enough to kill him. Kang Jin-hyuk instantly activated his skill Daylight, preparing to melt all the blood demons. Alex had already studied Kang Jin-hyuk's information and knew he had this move. He instantly controlled the blood demons to block in front of himself. But what shocked him was that his blood demons couldn't move. At this time, sharp ice was spreading beneath all the blood demons' feet. Kang Jin-hyuk's eyes were cold as he breathed out a puff of cold air. Alex instantly understood. The opponent had used the bright light as a distraction, while secretly using ice magic. The next second, a flash of light struck directly at Alex. Alex collapsed powerlessly, still unable to believe the result before his eyes. All his blood demons were completely and utterly dead. At this moment, Kang Jin-hyuk approaches from behind Alex. Alex throws a smoke grenade behind him and tries to escape. He's scared now. He never expected to go from having the upper hand to being completely outmatched. And now he desperately needs to regroup with his master. But in the next second, a throwing knife hits him square in the back. As the smoke clears, Kang Jin-yuk has hit his target dead center. Moving forward, he says, "Making such a mess here and still trying to run? Your blood will now fill your lungs, eventually causing you to suffocate to death. However, I could spare you from the agony of suffocation." With that, Kang Jin-yuk pulls out the holy water. "The elixir. Just tell me about the demonic one's whereabouts." Seeing the holy water, Alex knows he still has a chance to live. He wants to speak, but his throat is full of blood and he can't make a sound. He simply writes on the ground with his own blood. But Kang Jin-yuk suddenly stomps on his hand. "Since you won't tell me, don't blame me for this." Alex curses inwardly. This guy never intended to listen anyway. Then Kang Jin-yuk pulls out an object. "I don't need this. Here, take it back. It's Alex's business card. Please, die as painfully as possible. The longer the better, you scum." At this point, Kang Jin-yuk discovers two treasures in the surroundings. They are the ichthyosaur heart and Michelangelo sulfur safe. These two items are exactly the fusion materials for a large-capacity subspace backpack. With the materials ready, Kang Jin-yuk immediately activates equipment fusion. The next second, the system prompts, "You have obtained a large-capacity subspace backpack." But just then, a voice saying hello appears. Two people emerge behind Kang Jin-yuk. It's the auctioneer from this auction, who is very grateful to Kang Jin-yuk for dealing with Alex and saving both of them. The little boy also says thank you. Thinking about the auctioneer's identity and how he almost took the two treasures for free, Kang Jin-yuk says embarrassedly that he'll pay for the two items. No, it's okay." The auctioneer smiles. "I saw before I lost consciousness that you were the one who killed that demonic one. You saved us. And thank you for saving my only son, so consider these items as gifts." Kang Jin-yuk is stunned for a moment. Although this is his first time experiencing such a situation, it feels pretty good. Meanwhile, on the third floor of the Tower of Trial, at a place called the Cathedral of Hatred, footsteps echo. After someone deals with all the various mechanisms inside, they can't help but complain, "Why do I have to face the same mechanisms every time I come here?" A man beside them says, "Stop complaining." Because of Alex's situation, he's in a bad mood. Hearing this, Melina says coldly, "Are you saying that I should take care of your feelings?" Seeing the two about to fight over a disagreement. But then someone speaks up, "Stop it." A person in a black robe appears. "You've been partners for over 10 years. Why do you always bicker without giving way to each other?" The masked man sighs and says, "I've gathered you here because there's a guy called Kang Jin-yuk who has appeared. You need to be extra careful." Melina says indifferently that Kang Jin-yuk seems to have played this game a bit, but he's probably just an average skilled player. The masked man says coldly, "Don't be careless. The floor that person has reached might be higher than any of us." Melina mutters impossible. After all, anyone who's made it to the 20th floor would be treasured by those guilds. "I also think you're overestimating him. We chose this obscure virtual reality game to avoid international police surveillance, so we know more about the tower than ordinary people, but others don't have our reasons. After all, no one would play such a masochistic game. Unless they're perverts, how could they possibly keep playing?" The masked man sees that these two aren't taking his words seriously, and only he remains vigilant. He says coldly, "Anyway, you two will follow Julius from now on. You must help him complete that task." On the other side, outside the Tower of Trial, Lee Tae-min is fully armed, serving as Yu Yeonhwa's sparring partner. Yu Yeonhwa lifts her leg for a kick, powerfully kicking Lee Tae-min's handheld protective pad. Instantly, the protective gear flies away. Yu Yeonhwa asks, "Are you okay?" Lee Tae-min just gives a thumbs up to indicate that kick was really strong. During their break, Lee Tae-min shows Yu Yeonhwa something interesting. It's a livestream video of Unknown planning to challenge the third level, and now Unknown is at a place called the Phase 3 Temple on the third level. Here stands an ancient tree. By answering the tree's 3 questions correctly, one can obtain various rewards. However, the problem is that the ancient tree's questions are extremely difficult, and no one has ever succeeded. Moreover, once the challenge fails, one will suffer punishment comparable to death. Kang Jin-yuk mutters, "Let's get this over with. What is the optimal depth and temperature for the marine species, Kelgorn, to live in?" Hearing this perverted question, Yu Yeonhwa and her companion watching the stream exclaim, "How could anyone possibly know this?" Depth 175 meters, temperature 1.5 degrees, Unknown says easily. The air becomes awkward for a moment. Unknown quickly urges for the next question. The ancient tree is shocked that it hasn't even said whether that's correct. Then hears Unknown urging, "What I said is the answer, hurry up." The ancient tree frowns and decides to give an even harder question. In order to consume the corpus spongiosum of Apelliani, what must you do? Simmer it on low heat with sunlight, desert salt, and high priest's holy water for 5 hours, and this question is answered correctly again. The final question, giant eagles of the sky plateau only mate once a year. When does this happen? Unknown directly presses the buzzer. It's when it snows for the first time in the tower. The ancient tree is stunned, but the next second, it can't help but laugh loudly. "Congratulations, you got it right. You're the first person to answer all my questions correctly." And those watching the stream are also impressed by Unknown's knowledge. Although they didn't understand, they felt it was amazing. Now, according to the agreement, the ancient tree can let unknown choose any color maple leaf from it. Red maple leaves grant fire attributes, yellow maple leaves enhance defense, and green ones increase movement speed. Yu Yonhua thinks that unknown, who's about to challenge the boss's human wave tactics, might choose the speed maple leaf. Hand over your treasured black maple leaf. Unknown says something no one expected. This also makes the ancient tree's expression very unpleasant. The ancient tree's face changes and quickly says, "If you choose the red maple leaf, I'll give you the green maple leaf as well. How about that?" Kang Jin-yuk coldly snorts, "Stop the nonsense. Do you want to tarnish the reputation of tree spirits? Besides, if I report this to the administrator, you know what will happen." The next second, there's a sound of "damn it." The ancient tree's leaves wither and fall, and the tree spirit, bound by oath, grants the reward. You have obtained the black maple leaf. The black maple leaf can add an undefeatable attribute to attacks, deepening enemy damage by 1% every 3 minutes. With this, all preparations for attacking the third-floor boss are complete. And before leaving, let me deal with you guys as well. Meanwhile, outside the Phase 3 temple, a group of guild members are guarding the passage to the boss room. They're responsible for preventing others from entering and disturbing unknown during this period, although they don't think anyone would come. But the next second, the sound of weapons dropping. 2 people are shocked. How did their other companions suddenly disappear? The next second, black demonic energy rises into the air, instantly binding the 2 people. At the same time, a large number of demonic ones appear, led by Julius, who says, "We can't delay any longer. That guy has already started." At this moment, Kang Jin-yuk has already killed a stone statue guarding the ancient tree. Kang Jin-yuk live streams his boss challenge but maintains an aloof attitude. The audience discusses whether he can succeed, but he tells them not to be impatient. The chat questions what's wrong with this streamer, and Unknown directly says, "If you don't like this streaming style, then leave the stream." This is actually a program effect, to please audiences. Some streamers immediately act cute and flirtatious. But if a streamer takes the aloof route from the beginning, it will also attract a fanbase that likes this style. And now the chat, after purification, only consists of people who enjoy this streaming style. At this moment, intense battle fluctuations suddenly come from the distance. Kang Jin-yuk's expression changes. The boss room is huge, and he came to the Phase 3 temple first. Could someone else have snuck in during this time? He immediately covers the camera. Ignoring the audience's protests, he directly announces, "Today's stream ends here." Then he quickly goes offline. Meanwhile, not far away on a battlefield, the demonic ones are channeling magic, driving various summoned creatures to attack the army summoned by the boss. In an instant, armored soldiers plus skeleton soldiers clash with countless terracotta warriors. And on a distant hill, King Jin-yuk didn't expect these demonic one summons to be slightly more powerful than the boss's army. At this moment, the demonic ones are gradually gaining the upper hand. But the next second, one person is suddenly attacked. Then the demonic ones discover that large ice shards are appearing out of nowhere. In an instant, while the demonic ones desperately defend, they also spot Unknown in the distance. A demonic one shouts, "You're looking for death," and instantly commands his subordinates to attack. But with the sound of arrows cutting through air, Kang Jin-yuk moves between the terracotta warriors, easily dodging the attacks. And seizing the opportunity, Kang Jin-yuk activates the skill, the Blessing of the Stars. Under pure divine power, not only are the demonic one's summons attributes reduced, but the demonic one's control is also weakened. For a moment, cold light flashes. The armored soldiers instantly turn against the demonic ones. In panic, the demonic ones quickly report to Julius, "The third stronghold has fallen." Julius curses under his breath, "I can see that." This time he established 4 strongholds as battle lines against the boss, with the third stronghold breached. If the first stronghold also falls, his command line will completely collapse. At this time, Kang Jin-yuk is still fighting in the firelight. He attracts a battle statue summoned by the boss toward the demonic one's camp. Seeing the powerful enemy approaching, several people try to dodge. The next second, Kang Jin-yuk has already reached their side. "Where do you think you're going?" Then with a sound cutting through air, the battle statue soars into the sky. Then, like Mount Tai pressing down, it crashes to the ground with a thunderous impact. Other demonic ones keep reporting the battle situation to Julius, and Julius curses under his breath again, "I can see that." The next second he roars, "You bastard, repeatedly ruining my plans. You're the one looking for death." Then enrolling demonic power, the skill Guardians of the Pyramid is activated. Another demonic one is shocked. This is a skill meant to be saved for attacking the boss. But Julius directly tells him to shut up. He wants to kill Unknown here. The next second, with a voice saying, "Awaken," golden mummies rise from the treetops. But after releasing the skill, Julius nearly collapses from magical exhaustion. When his subordinate asks about his condition, Julius asks him to help support him. But when the subordinate approaches, Julius directly grabs his shoulder, before the person can react to what's happening. The next second, he rapidly becomes a dried corpse, while Julius's own magical power rapidly increases. Kang Jinyuk didn't expect him to turn on his own people. The next second, Julius removes his black robe. Sorry to keep you waiting, now we can start over. Julius summons countless golden mummies to destroy Unknown. These mummies have bandages as hard as iron. Their combined offense and defense create tremendous trouble for Unknown. This scene is witnessed by Melina and Li Chao hiding nearby. They privately admire that Unknown's initial decision to eliminate Julius's subordinates was correct. But he overlooked Julius's own formidable power, seeing Julius already celebrating at halftime. Li Chao is certain that the operation to eliminate Unknown no longer needs their intervention. But then Melina is stunned. She sees Unknown on the battlefield seemingly deliberately walking on a knife's edge. At this moment, Kang Jinyuk himself gradually enters a wonderful state. In a trance, he can't help but recall a past experience. A sword cultivator once commented that his swordsmanship, while sharp, had its power scattered due to too much focus on force. The sword cultivator picked up a thick rope. A true master can exert 100 times the power with the same force, like wind dancing gracefully, using softness as the foundation, and striking with full force at the right moment. That day's scene appears in Kang Jinyuk's mind like an illusion. Instantly, the system prompts, fragments of the skill's soul-chasing sword dance have reappeared. Your understanding of the soul-chasing sword has greatly improved. The next second, the short sword in Kang Jinyuk's hand suddenly increases in power 100-fold. Whether mummies, or rocks and earth, all seem like broken cloth and rotten tiles. What shocks Julius even more is that, as Kang Jinyuk swings his sword, his magical power forms a devouring magical vortex. With a thunderous roar, the magical vortex transforms into rolling sword energy bursting forth. This is the fifth form of soul-chasing sword dance. Soul-chasing sword dance skill 5. Soul-chasing annihilation. The mighty sword energy instantly sweeps through Julius and all his men. In the moment of life and death, Julius activates his double-sided shield skill to desperately resist. Inwardly cursing the Tower of Trial, it's only been half a year since it became reality. How could this kid be so ridiculously strong? The next second, his staff can no longer withstand it and suddenly shatters. His figure is sent flying like a broken sandbag. For a moment, dust swirls around. When the smoke clears, only Julius remains, crawling slowly like a beaten dog. At this moment, he's afraid. He finally realizes he can't defeat Unknown at all, and now he just wants to escape. At the same time, he shouts, "Quickly, come protect me," trying to call Melina and the others. But the only response is from Unknown. You and your student are exactly alike, starting with great momentum. But at the first sign of defeat, you become a coward who only knows how to run. He must have learned from you. Hearing this, Julius seems to think of something and says in disbelief, "So it's you. You're Kang Jinyuk. Give my regards to your student. Afraid he might be bored on his journey. I'll send you to join him." After dealing with Julius, the skeleton soldiers and death knights summoned by the demonic ones on the battlefield begin to dissipate. What awaits the remaining demonic ones is the enthusiastic reception of the terracotta warriors. On the other side, Kang Jinyuk goes to another temple. Using the fifth form of soul-chasing sword dance this time also placed a tremendous burden on his magical power. However, while replenishing his magic, he also wants to take advantage of his greatly increased strength to retrieve another treasure from here. On the road, he sees a shield that was blown here. Kang Jinyuk directly straps it to his back. The last time he used a shield was a very distant memory, and this memory is just like now. You agree, right? With a thunderous sound appearing before Kang Jinyuk are the temple's guardians, the four great kings. The four great kings want to say overestimating yourself and launch an attack. But as Kang Jinyuk blocks with his shield, then continuously dodges, a flash of blade light instantly kills two of the kings. At the same time, Kang Jinyuk mutters, "Quickly hand over the key." Seeing how strong the newcomer is, one king quickly retreats while reaching into the void. In a flash of green light, a golden lotus key suddenly appears in his hand. But the next second, this king suddenly inserts the key into his own body. Kang Jinyuk is shocked, then sees a precious lotus rising into the air. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "Can't win, so you're calling for help? How arrogant." At this moment, dazzling light shines from the flower's top. Then, with a thunderous roar, the system prompts the Bodhisattva of 1,000 arms and eyes. Avalokiteshvara has appeared. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara mutters, "The four great kings haven't called me out in a long time. I really didn't expect someone could force them to this extent." Kang Jinyuk mutters, "What's this? I'm still going to defeat this floor's boss next. Although you're very courageous, you truly don't know your limits." Kang Jinyuk doesn't continue the chatter, and directly raises his shield. Right now, he has no intention of chatting idly with a stone statue. Sensing Kang Jinyuk's fighting spirit, countless weapons appear in the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara's hands. At the same time, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara sneers, "You've made a wrong decision." The next second, sounds of cutting through air ring out. Continuous impacts head straight for Kang Jinyuk. Feeling the amazing impact force transmitted through the shield, Kang Jinyuk's heart jumps but immediately calms down. He has methods and opportunities to deal with his opponent, but he only has one chance and must be careful. At this time, Kang Jinyuk's tenacity aroused the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's fighting spirit. He laughs loudly, "Let's see how long you can last," and instantly charges toward Kang Jinyuk. Kang Jinyuk's body becomes surrounded by fierce cold air as he activates the skill Ice Sculpture. Countless ice crystals rise from the ground, instantly blocking the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara. However, with the sound of impacts, the surrounding ice crystals are completely shattered after only blocking for a moment. But even so, the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara doesn't smile. Instead, he says grimly, "You bastard actually used dirty Western tricks." As his words fall, something suddenly darts out from the dust and fog. The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara catches it easily with his fingers. The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara mocks, "Foolish human, with just this kind of petty trick." But before he finishes speaking, a blood-red lightning has already struck one of his arms. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "Don't speak too early." Feeling that the red lightning is continuously causing damage to him, the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's expression turns cold as he asks, "I'm clearly immune to toxins, what did you do?" This is Blood Demon Spirit. After being hit, it will continuously cause damage. The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara frowns and mutters, "No matter, I won't fall for your tricks again." The next second, the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara directly tears off his injured arm and throws it down. Kang Jinyuk knows that losing one arm means nothing to his opponent, and the same trick indeed won't work twice. But Kang Jinyuk takes a blue pearl from his arm. He's already obtained what he wanted. The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara feels something is wrong. You can only blame yourself for not caring about your arm. Kang Jinyuk activates the fusion skill, instantly fusing the spellbook of the Peltaros Princedom with the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's jewel. The next second, the system prompts, "You have obtained the Golden Dawn's Limiton. The Limiton can maximize magical power. At the same time, you have activated Eye of Gluttony." While Kang Jinyuk obtains the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's stats, he learns that the condition for copying his opponent's skill is to humiliate the opponent with magic and create a magnificent ice sculpture. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "System, you're getting more and more creative." Then, under the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's puzzled gaze, Kang Jinyuk takes out the mini gramophone again. "Well, since the mandala skill can only be obtained here." The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara wants to ask what Kang Jinyuk is up to. Kang Jinyuk just answers, "Don't ask, because I don't want to do this either." He dances while playing music in front of the boss. Angered, the boss directly activates the hidden skill mandala to destroy Kang Jinyuk. Instantly, countless weapons come to hand. The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara shouts, "Die!" and launches a fierce attack on Kang Jinyuk. At this time, after the Solomon enhancement, Kang Jinyuk's ice sculpture skill has evolved into glacial sculpture. Just raising his hand, thick glaciers surge forth in front of Kang Jinyuk. The hard glaciers block all of the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's attacks. While Kang Jinyuk is satisfied with the glacial sculpture effect, the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara grits his teeth. The intense battle situation is also seen by Li Chao and his companion hiding nearby. While the two secretly marvel at Kang Jinyuk's strength, Li Chao stands up but hesitates. Their mission is to eliminate Kang Jinyuk. But he also understands the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's strength. He's practically the second boss of the third floor. Kang Jinyuk, who can fight evenly with such an existence, is definitely not someone they two can handle. Melina mutters, "Can we two defeat him together?" Li Chao responds, "It's doubtful." Hearing this, Melina directly turns to leave. But Li Chao has other plans. Although direct confrontation won't work, he can play dirty. A coin infused with demonic energy appears in his hand. This is the coin of Caligula, which can briefly affect the target's mind. The next second, demonic energy swirls not far from Kang Jinyuk. The moment Kang Jinyuk senses this, an ominous feeling wells up. The next second, he becomes momentarily distracted, and a weapon directly cuts across his thigh. The intense pain makes Kang Jinyuk grit his teeth, but also instantly awakens him. The thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara mutters, "Daring to be distracted while fighting me." Kang Jinyuk responds, "Sorry," instantly activating a fire element skill and pressing it against his wound. While stopping the bleeding, he says, "I won't do that again, and thanks for helping me wake up." The next second, the spellbook emanates fierce cold air as the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara launches his attack. Kang Jinyuk also activates the ice sculpture skill. With both forces equally matched, the attacks cancel each other out, but the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara coldly snorts, "Overestimating yourself." At the same time, the system prompts, the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara has activated the skill Heaven's Trap. A light net instantly traps Kang Jinyuk. At the same time, golden light glows from the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's hands. Then the golden light transforms into arrows heading toward the trapped Kang Jinyuk. The small space is filled with the thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara's attacks. Kang Jinyuk directly activates the glacial sculpture skill, Suddenly an iceberg rises around him. Seeing Kang Jinhyuk only able to defend passively, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara directly reaches out to grasp the trapped Kang Jinhyuk in his hand. Then, while squeezing up and down, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara has activated the skill Infinity Spear. The next second, the Infinity Spear fiercely attacks the iceberg, instantly shattering it to pieces. Seeing that Kang Jinhyuk couldn't possibly survive, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara is about to gloat. The next second, his expression changes. "Looks like you fell for my trick again." Kang Jinhyuk appears completely unharmed. Not only that, but cold light flashes from Kang Jinhyuk's hand. The next second, large ice crystals directly condense beneath the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara. In an instant, a glacial prison tightly traps the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara. Kang Jinhyuk mutters at the same time, "How can someone who relies on cultivating mind and body to improve strength have prejudice against magic?" So to cure your illness, I think there's no method more effective than shock therapy. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara becomes furious, directly cursing to throw Kang Jinhyuk into the endless hell. At the same time, the task of angering the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara is completed. You have successfully copied the skill Mandala. Mandala can grant weapons special power and roughly predict the opponent's attack direction. Since he has obtained the skill, Kang Jinhyuk throws away the wig, directly using the Mandala skill to enchant a nearby ice sculpture. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara can't believe Kang Jinhyuk would use his skill, but I'll put Mandala to good use from now on. As for where you should go, just go there. In an instant, a giant finger heads straight for the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, instantly hitting the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara's chest. Green light explodes, and the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara's statue also crumbles. After defeating the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, Kang Jinhyuk obtains a golden lotus key. This is the stone pagoda key. It can summon this floor's boss anywhere on the 3rd floor. Seeing he's obtained the desired item, Kang Jinhyuk can't help but rub his shoulders. The series of challenges has truly exhausted him. However, the continuous battles have also brought his level to 21. After adding the upgrade attribute points to magical power, this finally allows him to relieve his fatigue somewhat. But suddenly he remembers something. The Tower of Trials nights are quite unusual. When night falls, not only does the temperature drop sharply, but monster attributes also double. Therefore, at night, all players either retreat outside the tower or find a safe place to stop hunting. By a lit campfire, Kang Jinhyuk chooses a spot near a river, planning to rest until the next day. What Kang Jinhyuk is eating are giant shrimp unique to the 3rd floor streams. The delicious taste makes him determined to copy some cooking skills when he has the chance. But then he hears the sound of bamboo leaves rustling. The next second, with footsteps, 2 people appear before Kang Jinhyuk. It's Li Chao and Melina. Assuming Kang Jinhyuk hasn't seen them before, they directly say that due to some accident, they couldn't exit the 3rd floor before dark. Therefore, they ask if they can borrow some fire to warm themselves. Kang Jinhyuk naturally has no objection, just saying, "You two seem quite frozen," and hands over a bowl of shrimp meat. Seeing the delicious food presented before her, Melina is almost drooling. "But we appreciate your kindness. However, someone told us not to accept food from strangers, especially when they're wearing masks." Kang Jinhyuk smiles and says, "If you're very concerned about my mask, I'm not unwilling to take it off." Seeing an opportunity to see the true face of the famous unknown, Li Chao and his companion show anticipation in their eyes. But they hear Kang Jinhyuk say, "However, before that, let's play a game. Since we don't know each other, we're all curious about one another. Since that's the case, after we take turns asking each other 3 questions, I'll remove my mask. How about that? There's no need to tell the truth when answering questions." Li Chao thinks there's no harm in it, and nods to Melina. So with a humming sound, a coin is tossed and falls into Melina's palm. "Let's use this coin to decide who asks first. How about that?" Melina guesses it should be heads. She lifts her finger. It's indeed heads. Sensing the subtle magical power on that coin, Kang Jinhyuk recognizes it as Caligula's coin. After use, it can briefly control the target's mind. Melina thinks for a moment, and asks, "Did you enter the tower with companions?" This is to confirm whether Kang Jinhyuk has any companions. Kang Jinhyuk shakes his head, indicating it's just him. Kang Jinhyuk then asks, "You two also seem to be here for the boss. Why didn't you make your move?" "We're just waiting for the right opportunity. Challenging the boss isn't simple." Then the second question, "Handsome guy, why are you climbing the tower? What do you want? Money, fame, or status?" Kang Jinhyuk knows they're testing and trying to recruit him, so he just smiles. "If I tell you, can you satisfy me? As long as our goals align, our compensation will definitely exceed your imagination." Kang Jinhyuk's gaze slightly narrows. "Alright, now for the final question. After answering, I'll remove my mask. My final question is, does the Demonic Ones Association really think just you two can handle me?" Hearing this, Melina grins wickedly. "So you knew our identities all along. Although I knew you were powerful, I didn't expect you could defeat the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara. But that battle also exhausted you, right? Someone without recovered status has greatly reduced strength. In that case, 1 coin is enough to deal with you. The next second, Melina activates Caligula's coin to invade Kang Jinyuk's mind, but the air becomes awkwardly quiet. Nothing happens. Li Chao shouts, "Melina, what are you doing?" But here's Melina say, "This thing isn't working, it seems broken." No, Caligula's coin isn't broken. Under the shadow of Anubis judgment, Kang Jinyuk mutters, "It's just that you can't use magical power anymore." This shocks Li Chao into shouting, "Activate Plan B." But Melina without magical power can't do anything. Kang Jinyuk places the shrimp meat in his hand on a stone slab. The system prompts, "The spirits of the shrine are pleased with your offering. You can select the target that will execute Anubis judgment. You have selected the totem, Great General of the World. You have selected the totem, Great General of the Underworld." Witnessing the appearance of monsters never seen before, both Li Chao and his companions' faces changed dramatically. What they were facing were none other than the guardian gods of the land, the Great General of the World, and the Great General of the Underworld. At this moment, Li Chao finally understood that his opponent had been planning to summon these two creatures from the very beginning of preparing that dish. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk was lying comfortably to the side, watching the show. He reminded them with a warning, "You'd better not make any rash moves, and you can't escape anyway." As his words fell, the Great General of the Underworld activated his skill access denied, creating a barrier around Li Chao and his companion. Li Chao knew that their only chance of victory was to take down Kang Jinyuk, which would make the surrounding monsters disappear. Kang Jinyuk said, "I advise you not to act rashly." At this moment, the Great General of the World had already activated his skill Exemplary Punishment. A massive hand pressed down directly toward Li Chao. With one slap, he was knocked to the ground, his glasses shattered, letting out a scream of agony. Melina stood frozen in place, cold sweat streaming down her face. Kang Jinyuk approached her from behind. "It's clear who's strong and who's weak. Now let's have a chat." But when he activated his Eye of Gluttony, the system prompted that the activation was cancelled due to too large a level difference. This surprised Kang Jinyuk as well. Did my luck value fail to work? So he continued asking, "You humans know you can't successfully climb the tower, and that humanity will perish. So why do you still obstruct players from climbing the tower?" Just as Melina was about to answer, Li Chao suddenly shouted to stop her. At this moment, the Great General of the World raised his massive palm again. Before he could finish speaking, the man was instantly flattened, and Melina was so frightened she collapsed to the ground. Kang Jinyuk spoke coldly, "I absolutely will not let anyone who fantasizes about taking my life continue to exist in this world. That's my principle. But if you tell me some useful information, I can spare your life. Why exactly do demonic ones obstruct players from climbing the tower?" Melina looked terrified. To save her life, she spoke, "The guy who told us to kill you, I don't know his real name either, but we all call him Lancelot. Besides him, there are 11 other leaders. But I belong to the assassination group, so I don't know the detailed matters very well." Kang Jinyuk activated his Eye of Gluttony, and the system confirmed that Melina's words were true. Melina continued, "They said that as long as we collect all 12 cursed legendary relics within the tower, even if humanity perishes, we can survive unharmed, and receive corresponding huge rewards. That's all I know." After hearing this, Kang Jinyuk immediately understood their purpose. He never expected that the demonic ones' goal was actually to summon the Demon King. This group was even more insane than he had imagined. He just didn't understand how they could survive even if humanity perished. When Melina asked if she could leave, Kang Jinyuk responded, "No, don't worry, I'll keep my promise, but before that, you need to sign a contract with me first." Melina looked puzzled, only to see magical power gathering in Kang Jinyuk's hand. He activated the brand of obedience. Kang Jinyuk said with ill intent, "This is a contract that will make you obey only me from now on." Melina was sweating coldly, but this was still 100 times better than losing her life. She could only accept it tearfully. Time came to the next day. Now it was time to get down to business. Kang Jinyuk summoned the stone pagoda key he had obtained earlier, and immediately activated it. In the next second, magical power shot straight up into the sky. Then the system prompted, "The master of the 3rd floor has responded to your summons." After the great door opened, countless stone statue soldiers walked out from inside. At this moment, a voice rang out, "Who has disturbed my rest?" This was the boss of the 3rd floor, Muhan. Then Kang Jinyuk activated his Eye of Gluttony, but due to the large level difference, he could only see partial information, and couldn't copy his skills either. Muhan continued speaking, "Although countless humans have challenged my army, you are the first to use a key to call me out. But where is your army?" Kang Jinyuk looked at him with a cold smile. "My army?" He saw Kang Jinyuk summon a blue light. The system prompted, "You have summoned the first chessboard. You have summoned 2,851 magical chess pieces." Muhan looked at him and said with a laugh, "That is quite the novel idea. That method would allow you to fill the role of an army alone. However, what do you plan to do with those tiny things?" Kang Jinyuk also responded with a smile, "Don't be hasty, I'm not finished yet." At this moment, the system prompted, You have used 2,851 enlargement pills on 2,851 magical chess pieces. The chess pieces immediately became the same size as the opponent's soldiers. Muhan said calmly. I must admit, you are certainly different from the other humans who have come here so far. Kang Jinyek stood domineeringly among his army. You're qualified to judge me? Muhan frowned. What are you saying, kid? Kang Jinyek sneered. It's precisely because you lack strength that you've been staying on the third floor, isn't it? Although the bosses of the Tower of Trials are gatekeepers of each floor, they can also influence their respective floors and expand their own power by climbing the tower like players. Hearing this, Muhan laughed. Do you think I don't step into the fourth floor because of insufficient strength? What? Aren't you just an earthbound spirit of the third floor? Whatever. Think what you want. Whether you're trying to disturb my mind with this method or have other plans, it doesn't matter. Faced with the absolute difference in our military strength and my superior tactics, your only fate is death. As his words fell, the 1st Battalion stepped forward. In the next second, thousands of terracotta soldiers instantly sprang into action, advancing forward. Kang Jinyek knew this was the opponent's probing attack. In that case, Kang Jinyek activated his skill. The system prompted, you have activated the ability of the first chessboard. All friendly chess pieces' attack and defense increased by 30%. At the same time, Kang Jinyek deployed chess pieces on both flanks. Amid the thunderous trampling sounds, the chess pieces had activated their skill-steal endurance. For a moment, the two armies clashed and battle erupted instantly. However, Kang Jinyek's offensive hadn't ended. The rook pieces had activated arrow barrage. Suddenly, amid the sound of arrows cutting through air, countless terracotta soldiers were annihilated. Even though some shield soldiers raised their shields to block. In the next second, the bishop pieces had activated flame strike. Surging waves of fire immediately followed the arrow barrage. Seeing his 1st Battalion instantly destroyed, Muhan felt a surge of fighting spirit. In that case, Battalion 2, Battalion 3, advance. Another formation of terracotta soldiers stepped out from the army. At this time, Kang Jinyek was leading 2 cavalry units in a breakthrough toward the left flank. At the same time, the knight pieces had activated wedge formation. Damage increased by 200% during combat. As Kang Jinyek rode his horse at full gallop, he shouted, "Wipe them out in one go!" With Kang Jinyek's cavalry charge, brutal slaughter instantly unfolded. Muhan calmly analyzed the war at this moment. He had to admit he had underestimated Kang Jinyek's command level. Kang Jinyek's offense-defense transitions were flawless, and his battlefield command timing was extremely precise. But what was this gap that appeared on the flank of Kang Jinyek's army? Although it seemed like bait, it was tempting enough. The system prompted, Muhan has activated weakness detection. He instantly obtained various information about Kang Jinyek's formation. He only needed to destroy the crown above the chessboard to stop all the opponent's chess piece movements. Only the king or queen could use the crown. Muhan smiled. As long as I destroy the crown, I can directly checkmate Kang Jinyek. That would be easy. However, Muhan's gaze sharpened. I knew this bait wasn't so simple. Turns out there's another arrangement, waiting for me to walk into the trap. At this moment, amid a slight trampling sound, with graceful bearing and wearing a crown like a queen making her entrance, it was the current chessboard's queen, Alice. Since the opponent had shown their hand, Muhan immediately deployed a battalion of terracotta soldiers to test Kang Jinyek's bait. This time, Muhan sent out 3,000 soldiers, each 15 meters tall, all charging straight at Alice. But Kang Jinyek shouted, "Attack!" in a low voice, completely ignoring Muhan's intentions and still charging straight at Muhan. Muhan smiled. He had already seen through all of Kang Jinyek's arrangements. Kang Jinyek had left a flaw in his base camp to lure him into attacking, and set a trap targeting the crown, all to weaken the guard forces around him and thus gain an opportunity to execute a decapitation strike. But so what? The two sides fighting on the battlefield had already caused changes in the battle situation. Giant terracotta soldiers grabbed smaller terracotta soldiers in their hands, and then hurled them forcefully into the center of Kang Jinyek's formation. For a moment, countless terracotta soldiers rained down from the sky. Flying stones scattered and struck around Alice. When the surroundings quieted down again, Alice was already surrounded by layers of terracotta soldiers. Alice looked at the mud around her with slight disgust. Muhan let out a cold laugh. Checkmate. IT's over. But seeing victory within reach, Muhan's expression tightened. It was strange that Kang Jinyek could remain calm even when his base was being raided. However, judging from the number of troops, the advantage was with Muhan, and he had already lured Kang Jinyek deep into his camp. Now it was time to close the net and finish him off. In an instant, summoning magic was activated. Two powerful statues appeared out of thin air, the statue of David and Ukuzma. After appearing, both immediately locked their hatred onto Kang Jinyek. But seeing the situation becoming increasingly critical, Kang Jinyek couldn't help but smile. Although the situation looked unfavorable, there was still a chance for survival. First, regarding Alice's side, before challenging the boss, Kang Jinyek had discussed with Alice whether she could guard the base camp alone. Alice said of course there was no problem. She was more worried about whether Kang Jinyek could handle it, since that guy could become the gatekeeper of the third floor for a reason. Kang Jinyek said frankly that this was the first time he'd seen Alice praise someone else. Could he be stronger than you? Alice gritted her teeth. If I hadn't been exiled to the corridor, a mere third floor, never mind, I won't mention it. In any case, I'll watch over the base camp. At this moment, the puppets attacking the base camp had already launched their assault on Alice. Blood light surged in Alice's hands as she activated her skilled blood spears. In the next second, blood orbs transformed into blood-red spears, instantly shooting toward the surrounding puppets. As the puppets crumbled and shattered, Alice had already activated her skill blood explosion. A bunch of small fry, die. Instantly, violent explosions mixed with blood light enveloped all nearby puppets. When Alice landed again, Alice snorted coldly, having defeated all the puppets that had besieged her. Muhon was dumbfounded. He hadn't expected that the opponent, who looked like just a little girl, would have such power. Kang Jin-yek took the opportunity to mock, "Don't be surprised. Your biggest mistake was allowing me to enter your formation." The system prompted, "You have activated Blood Demon Spirit." Blood Demon Spirit reacted with Black Leaf. You have obtained new equipment attribute, Mental Breakdown, which can make opponents lose the ability to distinguish between friend and foe. Kang Jin-yek smeared the aura mixed with Mental Breakdown onto the spear in his hand. In the next second, he suddenly swung it out. For a moment, purple light spread throughout the formation as the spear swept across. Countless terracotta soldiers' eyes glowed purple, and at the same time, Ukuzma also turned traitor. In the next second, with a "I've been fed up with you for a long time," he directly slapped David across the face. Seeing his terracotta army fall into confusion, Muhan completely panicked. But at this moment, Kang Jin-yek shouted, "Don't be a coward, Earthbound Spirit. You look like a clown." At the same time, he activated his skill Glacial Sculpture, blocking Muhan's escape route. Seeing this, Muhan gritted his teeth. He left his subordinates to hold the line and tried to escape first. But seeing the massive statue blocking the way, Kang Jin-yek was well prepared and activated his skills Mandala and Glacial Sculpture. In an instant, the Glacial Sculpture became a bow, and the Mandala became an arrow. The system prompted, "Glacial Sculpture and Mandala have resonated. Now is the true moment of checkmate." As a golden light surged forth, instantly piercing through the giant puppet, the golden arrow also shot straight toward Muhan's back. For a moment, dazzling light pierced through Muhan's chest. Instantly, golden light mixed with ice crystals surrounded Muhan. Finally, with a thunderous roar, a massive explosion erupted around Muhan. The system prompted, "You have defeated the third-floor boss, Muhan. The fourth floor of the Tower of Trials is now open. Time remaining to conquer the next floor, 90 days. Countdown begins now." As everyone looked joyfully at the system prompt before them, Kang Jin-yek showed a "that's it" expression, instead looking forward to what rewards the boss would drop. Amid the system's repeated "you have leveled up" notifications, Kang Jin-yek's eyes lit up. He had actually obtained an orange treasure chest. Generally, treasure chests from the first 10 floors of the Tower of Trials were the lowest grade red ones. Now that the chest grade was so high, Kang Jin-yek understood this was his Monopoly skill activating, giving him the best rewards. In the next second, the chest opened. You have obtained Pink Diamond, you have obtained priority-based selection rights, and so on. Amid the system voices announcing multiple item acquisitions, Kang Jin-yek smiled. These rewards are truly luxurious. However, Kang Jin-yek's expression shifted again. The last item in the chest was actually the Solar Eclipse Stone. This was an item that could play a major role on the next floor, the fourth floor. Seeing Kang Jin-yek's mischievous smile, Alice was speechless. Every time she saw that expression on Kang Jin-yek's face, she couldn't appreciate it. But even so, he didn't seem so annoying after all. At the same time, representatives from the world's guilds gathered together. Unknown had successfully solo cleared the third floor that they had been unable to conquer, and their feelings at this moment were truly complex. However, this also meant that the 90-day countdown for each floor was refreshed, so those fighting for humanity's survival didn't have as much pressure. But that kid Tan Wei had a sour face. Unknown solo clear didn't benefit these guilds at all. Not only had they not obtained the items from challenging the boss, but the prestige of the major guilds would also be diminished for being inferior to a single player. Hearing this, Teresa directly scolded Tan Wei. "What bullshit are you talking about? They had almost been forced to cooperate with the demonic ones before. Unknown finally cleared it and saved humanity, yet you're still talking about profit?" Saying this, Teresa looked at Park Jin-ho, Maria, and other guild representatives. But Teresa's expression changed as she was met with everyone's silence. Seeing this, Teresa understood. These guys were a bunch of selfish people who put their own interests above all humanity. In that case, I voluntarily withdraw from the conference starting today. Hearing this, Maria panicked. She had spent so much effort to make Teresa a member of the conference, and now Teresa wanted to leave? She disagreed. Patrick also said the conference isn't a place you can come and go as you please. This is a place for the most elite people to join in order to protect humanity. Once you leave, you can never return. Do you trust that person so much? In the next second, the door was pushed open without hesitation. Yes, I trust him. I trust him enough to entrust my life to him. At the same time, Kang Jin-yek was enjoying a rare moment of leisure. At this time, a phone call came in. It was actually from Yu Yeonhwa. Yu Yeonhwa's voice on the other end of the phone was very low. She said her grandfather was seriously ill. Hearing Yu Yeonhwa seek his help, Kang Jinyuk immediately asked for the address and was about to rush over. In his memory, Yu Yonhwa was the granddaughter of the top domestic figure, legendary martial artist Yu Chonyoung. In Kang Jinyuk's impression, she was an optimistic and strong woman. But when Kang Jinyuk saw Yu Yonhwa again, what appeared before him was only Yu Yonhwa, helpless like a child. Kang Jinyuk asked Yu Yonhwa to tell him what had happened. He heard Yu Yonhwa say that when the Tower of Trials first appeared in reality, a batch of monsters rushed out from the tower. Her grandfather awakened during that crisis and killed all the monsters, but he was also severely injured. Until recently, his condition had gotten worse and worse, to the point where he was unconscious. Looking at Yu Chonyoung on the hospital bed, Kang Jinyuk activated his Eye of Truth and instantly obtained Yu Chonyoung's attribute panel. It had to be said that this panel appearing on someone who hadn't entered the tower could only be called supremely excellent. The condition for copying his skills was to save Yu Chonyoung's severely injured life. At this time, another person came to the ward. It was Heo Jinsu, the healer responsible for Yu Chonyoung's treatment. However, this guy immediately said that even with S-rank Kang Jinyuk here, he probably couldn't do much for Yu Chonyoung's condition. Hearing that the other party seemed to think he was putting on airs, Kang Jinyuk said frankly that he was Yu Yonhwa's old friend and came to see if there was anything he could help with. Hearing this, Heo Jinsu laughed loudly and said he was being too nervous. He thought Kang Jinyuk had some insights into medical treatment. But at this time, Yu Yonhwa said coldly that she had no choice but to call Kang Jinyuk. And you so-called professionals have been treating my grandfather for so many days with no effect whatsoever. There's nothing we can do. After all, the symptoms mainly come from the Tower of Trials. Traditional medical treatment has limited effect. Please calm down. Hearing this, the air fell silent for a moment. Yu Yonhwa apologized, saying she was too emotional. After speaking, she was about to go outside the ward with Kang Jinyuk. But Kang Jinyuk activated his Eye of Gluttony. Kang Jinyuk's eyes were filled with unspeakable anger. The mind-reading technique attached to the Eye of Gluttony was reading Heo Jinsu's thoughts. He heard the truth. How did a master suddenly appear? Damn it, how long do we have to keep up this fake treatment? At this time, Heo Jinsu also said they had thought of a new treatment method, but it might require a large sum of money. Yu Yonhwa immediately said money wasn't a problem. Even if she had to sell all the family's martial arts schools, she would raise the money. Hearing this, Heo Jinsu whispered, "Good," but in the next second, Kang Jinyuk directly exploded. "What bullshit are you talking about, you scamming, shameless piece of trash?" Hearing this, others panicked and immediately stood in front of Kang Jinyuk, saying, "What do you mean?" Heo Jinsu also said, "Kang Jinyuk, are you slandering me? Even if you're Yu Yonhwa's friend, even if you're S-rank, you can't talk nonsense." But at this time, his heart was thinking, this guy is testing me. But even if my identity is exposed, it doesn't matter. I've already dispersed my borrowed name accounts and cryptocurrency wallets to 7 different places. Even gods couldn't trace them. So you do have borrowed name accounts and crypto wallets, huh? Just how much have you embezzled? Hearing this, Heo Jinsu's face changed. "You're making baseless accusations. What evidence do you have?" At this time, in Kang Jinyuk's perception, this guy was thinking, how much does this guy know? He wouldn't even know about the Black Cloud Guild's contact with the Tower Dwellers, would he? Hearing this, Kang Jinyuk was stunned. Wait, Tower Dwellers. The residents inside the tower actually had contact and cooperation with humans in the outside world? Now that his deeds were exposed, Heo Jinsu could only run. But in the next second, there was a bang. Yu Yonhwa firmly pressed the door shut with her foot while saying coldly, "Good. You dare to deceive me. Let me break your legs." But just then, Kang Jinyuk whispered, "Yonhwa, calm down. The urgent matter now is still how to treat your grandfather." Seeing this, the black-hearted Dr. Heo Jinsu knew his chance to live had come. So he immediately said that Yu Chonyoung could survive until now thanks to him. He needed to go out and get medicine now, so they shouldn't be ungrateful. Seeing that this guy was still treating them like fools even at this point, Kang Jinyuk simply said, "Sorry, Yonhwa, I changed my mind. You should give him a kick after all." In the next second, Yu Yonhwa delivered a 360-degree spinning Thomas sidekick, directly to that scumbag's face. Kang Jinyuk frowned as he looked at the seriously ill Yu Chonyoung. Yu Chonyoung had magical power rampage syndrome. If it were an ordinary person, developing this condition to the current stage would be absolutely fatal. But Kang Jinyuk had a way to treat it. As he spoke, a blue glow appeared in his hand. Seeing the object in Kang Jinyuk's hand, that scumbag was shocked, recognizing it as the legendary healing artifact, the elixir. Kang Jinyuk smiled. The elixir's healing effect was extraordinary, and its value was immeasurable. Although using it on Yu Chonyoung, whom he barely knew, was overly extravagant. As long as he healed Yu Chonyoung, he could copy his excellent skills. This deal was completely worth it. Thinking this, Kang Jinyuk directly poured the elixir onto Yu Chonyoung. For a moment, blue light enveloped Yu Chonyoung. Although it looked painful, Yu Chonyoung's symptoms soon completely disappeared. Seeing this, Yu Yonhwa could no longer hold back her tears of excitement. At the same time, the system prompted, "You have met the copying conditions. You have copied the skill Pure Meditation. Pure Meditation can absorb magical power from the air and increase magical power recovery speed by 30%. While Kang Jinyuk and the others focused their attention on Yu Chonyoung, Heo Jinsu was already planning to sneak away quickly. But Kang Jinyak turned back and kicked him. "Come with me to a quiet place. I have something to ask you." So they came to a storage room. Kang Jinyak whispered, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. Just return the money you scammed from Yu Yonhwa." Hearing such lenient conditions, Heo Jinsu was stunned. The other party shouldn't let him off so easily. But before he could think it through, Kang Jinyak said, "Of course, if you don't want to live, I don't mind killing you." So on the other side, Yu Yonhwa's phone received a transfer notification. Outside the hospital entrance, Heo Jinsu was frantically running away. He hadn't expected Kang Jinyak to really let him go. Standing on the rooftop, watching that person's figure, Alice, sitting on Kang Jinyak's shoulder, was still a bit puzzled. "You just let him go like that?" "Of course not. A bottom feeder like him can't provide any useful information anyway. So Alice, go follow him and see where his hideout is and who he's met." Hearing she could go out and play, Alice immediately sprinted 100 meters. Seeing this, Kang Jinyak smiled helplessly. He still had other things to do. Soon, Kang Jinyak used checking the elixir absorption as an excuse to send Yu Yonhwa away. Kang Jinyak looked at Yu Cheonyung still lying on the bed and said, "Now there's no one else, old man, get up and talk." Hearing this, Yu Cheonyung, who was lying on the hospital bed, unexpectedly opened his eyes. "You knew I was awake? I thought I was hiding it perfectly. But I didn't mean to deceive you. I understand. After all, when someone has an incurable disease, but a stranger suddenly appears and cures you, anyone would be cautious." Hearing this, Yu Cheonyung smiled. "You young man are so wise, you've said everything I wanted to say. I'm too embarrassed to say anything more." Learning that Kang Jinyak had a close relationship with his granddaughter and had questions to ask him, Yu Cheonyung said frankly, "Please, go ahead." Kang Jinyak asked, "I want to know what exactly happened during that crisis when you encountered attacks from monsters inside the tower." Hearing this, Yu Cheonyung touched the scars on his body and began recounting his memories. That day, Yu Cheonyung was originally going to attend a martial arts conference, but he happened to encounter the Tower of Trials invading reality. On the road, space trembled, and a deep purple tunnel appeared out of nowhere. Then countless monsters poured out from it. To protect the weak, Yu Cheonyung naturally stepped forward. However, just as he was holding back those low-level monsters to give others time to escape, he heard a voice say, "Interesting." A person actually walked out from among the monsters. That person looked at Yu Cheonyung and whispered, "I didn't expect there to be useful people among the outsiders. Let me play with you for a while." Yu Cheonyung was attacked by this person. Moreover, this person was extremely fast, far beyond his understanding, and severely injured him with just one sword strike. Recalling that person's terror, Yu Cheonyung still felt lingering fear. Hearing this, Kang Jinyak's expression became somewhat grim. According to Yu Cheonyung's description, long hair, ancient costume, and skilled with swords, this inevitably made him think of the martial arts forces from the 21st floor of the tower. He just hadn't expected these guys to actually come outside the tower. Thinking of how they often used unscrupulous means to achieve their goals, Kang Jinyak felt the situation was troublesome. And what was their purpose? Thinking this, Kang Jinyak simply told Yu Cheonyung that the opponent was very likely a tower resident. Yu Cheonyung expressed some concern about this, then immediately stopped caring. He just said, "I heard you've known my Yonhwa for a long time, right?" Kang Jinyak nodded. "We're old friends. In that case, how about I betroth my granddaughter to you?" Hearing this, Kang Jinyak was speechless. Before he could refuse, he heard Yu Cheonyung say, "I've lived to this age and have quite some insight into people. They say that to master a field, one must spend at least 10,000 hours of experience. I quite agree with this. Now, the Tower of Trials has only appeared for a few months, yet those awakened ones call themselves experts. In my opinion, they're truly unworthy of the name. But you're different. How should I put it? I can sense from you an aura that has weathered many storms. A quality that only appears on people who have overcome hardships and experienced countless trials." Hearing this, Kang Jinyak thought of his 50,000 hours of game time. He just said, "It's not that exaggerated. I just played for a slightly longer time." Seeing Kang Jinyak still being so modest, Yu Cheonyung said, frankly, "In any case, I will repay your kindness. Do you want anything?" Hearing that he could actually get thanks from what was almost the most authoritative martial arts family in the country, Kang Jinyak smiled. "Really anything?" "Of course, just ask." So not long after, Kang Jinyak walked out of the room, after he telling Yu Yonhwa that her grandfather was fine. Yu Yonhwa said somewhat embarrassedly that she didn't know how to thank Kang Jinyak. But Kang Jinyak showed a kind expression, "Don't mind it, Yonhwa. Your grandfather has already expressed his gratitude to me properly." In the ward, recalling the request Kang Jinyak had mentioned, Yu Cheonyung couldn't help but shed tears. He hadn't expected Kang Jinyak to ask him for that. On the other side, Kang Jinyak came to the city's top hotel. While he wasn't busy yet, he needed to give himself a break. So after ordering a bunch of delicious food, Kang Jinyak turned on the TV, picked up his knife and fork, and prepared to enjoy this rare leisure time. Who would have thought that just a few months ago, he could only live on instant noodles? At this time, the TV was broadcasting a Tower of Trials strategy livestream. The guest invited this time was Yang Un-sok, an expert from the top guild Dongun Guild. Jang Un-sok was mainly here to introduce methods for improving strength to the general players. Besides ordinary level and skill upgrades, using coins obtained from the Tower of Trials to acquire suitable equipment was also an important method. But without listening to this guy's rambling, Alice looked at Kang Jin-yuk and found this guy ate incredibly fast, not leaving any for herself. Seeing Kang Jin-yuk finish eating and about to rest, Alice smiled mischievously and picked up a bottle of wine, also planning to enjoy some pleasant time watching boring human programs. At this time, Jang Eun-suk was also asked why no players had entered since Unknown cleared the 4th floor. Jang Eun-suk explained that the 4th floor was a special dungeon with 100 large-scale waves, and the key to conquest was to seize strategic points first and successfully defend them. But the problem was that if all the players who entered failed to defend their positions, the entire 4th floor would be sealed for 20 days. Each floor had a 90-day conquest time limit. If preparations were insufficient and the floor was sealed too many times, there would be enormous risks. Therefore, even though Unknown had cleared the 3rd floor and had priority in selecting strategic points, the reason he hadn't entered was probably due to this. At this time, the host was also asking whether humanity would really perish if they exceeded 90 days. Based on the tower system's priority execution rights over world rules, humanity indeed had the possibility of extinction. Soon the interview ended, and the host asked if Jang Eun-suk had time. Jang Eun-suk nodded. According to his guess, Unknown would need at least a month of preparation before entering the 4th floor. Therefore, he also had plenty of time to prepare and take the host out for some fun. But just as Jang Eun-suk got into the car, the system announced, "Player Unknown declares conquest of the 4th floor. All players challenging the 4th floor, please prepare. The first battle on the 4th floor will begin in 8 hours." Hearing this, only the sound of the accelerator being pressed hard could be heard. Jang Eun-suk immediately opened the guild system and urgently issued a notice. All top experts assemble immediately to prepare for the 4th floor battle. At this moment, Jang Eun-suk was stunned. He hadn't expected Unknown to announce entry to the 4th floor so quickly, and this meant they only had 8 hours to prepare for the 4th floor. Unknown was simply crazy. On the other side, with the morning sun, Kang Jin-yuk slowly woke up from bed. This time, he had enjoyed a really good sleep. "Let's get ready to set off, Alice." At this time, there were only 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 51 seconds left before the first fluctuation began. The 4th floor was a special boss challenge, where players needed to resist 100 waves of zombie hordes composed of ordinary and special zombies to clear it. As players, the game system granted players 2 resistance methods. First, deploy defense towers with over 1,000 combination types as reasonably as possible. The second was to choose strongholds that could defend efficiently. However, as the protagonist, Kang Jin-yuk had other plans. System notification: congratulations on being the first to enter the 4th floor of the Tower of Trials. Other players will also enter the 4th floor in 20 minutes. Ignoring the system notification, Kang Jin-yuk went straight to an abandoned stadium, the Sangam World Cup Stadium. This stadium was a special stronghold in the entire 4th floor, and also Kang Jin-yuk's purpose for coming here. He wanted to use his stronghold priority designation right to seize this stronghold first. System notification: you have successfully occupied the stronghold. You have scattered Soishi grain. You have planted 5 solar seed. You have used natural water. Plant growth speed increased by 20%. While Kang Jin-yuk was preparing the stronghold, other players also entered the 4th floor, one after another. At this time, Brother Jin-yuk, we're here. It was Yu Yeonhwa and Lee Tae-min who came to form a team at Kang Jin-yuk's invitation. In addition, Jin-yuk, long time no see, there was also Saint Teresa. At this time, others also noticed the gathering of Kang Jin-yuk's group. It didn't matter if they didn't look, but once they did, they exclaimed, "How are they all famous players?" Yu Yeonhwa and Lee Tae-min were also somewhat surprised about how a celebrity player like Teresa would appear here. But Teresa stated directly that she had left the guild, so she could now act freely. And this time, it was Kang Jin-yuk's invitation, which she didn't dislike. On the contrary, she quite liked being with Kang Jin-yuk. Soon, Kang Jin-yuk roughly explained his idea of gathering everyone, mainly to form a team and defend at the stronghold he had selected. However, Yu Yeonhwa and Lee Tae-min felt somewhat embarrassed hearing this. When the zombie horde came, it would be like mountains and seas. Could just a few of them handle it? What's the problem with that? Difficulty makes it interesting, doesn't it? And I specifically chose the stadium as our stronghold. It wouldn't be that Sangam Stadium, would it? That's a super large stronghold that requires at least 100 people to defend. My good brother, this isn't like when we used to play games online. If you die here, you're really finished. Your personality really... Seeing these people arguing, Teresa just wanted to say, why does Jin-yuk seem so perverted? In any case, trust me. For us, that stadium is the best stronghold location. But Jin-yuk, I also have a question. As far as I know, stronghold defense requires at least 5 or more players. And now we only have 4 people, don't we? Kang Jin-yuk responded with, "Don't worry, the last person will be here soon." As soon as he finished speaking, a person descended from the sky with undisguised killing intent. It was Cheon Yu-song. But upon seeing Kang Jin-yuk, Cheon Yu-song immediately drew his sword. He was so angry because of something Kang Jin-yuk had said not long ago. Just the night before, Cheon Yu-song was training in a Tower of Trials dungeon. Originally, everything was going according to plan, and he didn't plan to head to the 4th floor so soon. but a suddenly popping message left him stunned. He hadn't expected that guy Kang Jin-yek would send him a private message. But this commanding tone made him very displeased. He was just a defeated opponent, not a slave. And seeing that Cheon Yuseong hadn't replied for a long time, Kang Jin-yuk immediately sent another message, full of arrogant attitude. "If you come now, I'll fight you without using my left arm or right leg." Cheon Yuseong knew Kang Jin-yuk's personality well. He would never do anything without benefits. Subsequently, Kang Jin-yuk kept sending challenges to Cheon Yuseong relentlessly. Even though Cheon Yuseong endured again and again, he finally broke down under one particular message. "You scared? As they say, you can kill but not humiliate. How could a standard tough guy like him withstand such mockery?" So he came to Kang Jin-yuk's appointed location with his Qianlong sword. And Cheon Yuseong was the fifth teammate Kang Jin-yuk had tricked into coming. Kang Jin-yuk then looked at Cheon Yuseong's Qianlong sword. It was indeed an attribute sword, a weapon that could launch long-range attacks by injecting elemental magic. It completely made up for the swordsman's shortcoming in long-range attacks. Coming before Kang Jin-yuk, Cheon Yuseong immediately shouted, "Today I'll show you who is scared." Kang Jin-yuk kindly reminded Cheon Yuseong. The current attribute sword was still only a semi-finished product. Although the semi-finished product's power wasn't low, only the complete attribute sword could unleash its full power. And the random treasure chests on the 4th floor just happened to have the synthesis materials needed for attribute swords, importantly the fire attribute that Cheon Yuseong needed. Cheon Yuseong was now burning with anger, angrily rebuking Kang Jin-yuk for his promises one after another. Everyone knew the random treasure chest's winning rate was ridiculously low. And Kang Jin-yuk, who possessed the Monopoly passive, indeed had a 100% winning ability. Moreover, Kang Jin-yuk promised Cheon Yuseong that as long as he joined the team to defend together, he would get him the fire attribute materials and have another fight after conquering the 4th floor of the Tower of Trials. After Kang Jin-yuk's coaxing, Cheon Yuseong put away his Qianlong sword. With the team invitation being accepted by Cheon Yuseong, they finally met the personnel requirement for defensive warfare. But Cheon Yuseong's joining made Teresa worried. She feared he might do something unfavorable to Kang Jin-yuk during the process. But Kang Jin-yuk wasn't worried at all, even saying Cheon Yuseong was a very simple and righteous gentleman. At this time, Yu Yeonhwa remembered something and started rummaging around. She took out an item wrapped in black cloth strips. Opening it revealed the twin dragon sword that Yu Cheonyong had promised to give her. As an heirloom passed down from ancestors, the magic power contained within was comparable to legendary relics. This made Yu Yeonhwa very curious about what method Kang Jin-yuk had used to make her grandfather bear to part with it. And besides being optimistic about Kang Jin-yuk, Yu Cheonyong naturally wanted to secure a good marriage for his granddaughter. After returning to the stronghold, Kang Jin-yuk made battle plans with the 4 people. This made Cheon Yuseong curse silently in his heart, so he was just looking for another scapegoat. That's why he found himself. Kang Jin-yuk, please be a decent person. And at the Sangam Stadium that Kang Jin-yuk had occupied, a group of uninvited guests had already gathered. From one person's sword, the patterns on the blade made Kang Jin-yuk think of something. This man was clearly an NPC from the game, but was hiding his identity and pretending to be a player. But the protagonist Kang Jin-yuk saw through his identity from the patterns on his sword at just one glance. Recognizing that the other party was from the martial arts forces in the 21st floor of the Tower of Trials. Although he didn't know the other party's purpose in seeking him, these guys were all arrogant madmen with sky-high ambitions, and Kang Jin-yuk wasn't afraid. Therefore, just as the man introduced himself as Namgung Hyun, Kang Jin-yuk directly said, "You should shut up instead. After all, you idiots from the Namgung family are famous for being missing a screw in your heads." Hearing this, Namgung Hyun was stunned. "What did you just say, you bastard?" Teresa asked if Kang Jin-yuk knew them, and Kang Jin-yuk answered that he used to know them. Seeing that Kang Jin-yuk not only insulted him but also ignored him, Namgung Hyun was furious and was about to say some harsh words. But Kang Jin-yuk directly interrupted. "You wouldn't be trying to say, 'You bastard, do you know who I am? How dare you mock our Namgung family? I'll exterminate your 3 generations.' If that's the kind of bullshit you want to say, please shut up. I've heard enough of it." Seeing this, Namgung Hyun gritted his teeth. "Damn it, although I don't know how you know my identity, but you bastard dare to insult our Namgung family. Kid, you'll regret this." In an instant, Namgung Hyun drew his sword, and his attribute panel appeared before Kang Jin-yuk's eyes. System notification: residents of martial arts forces are hiding in the triad. Expose all hidden members to copy any of their skills. Seeing this, Kang Jin-yuk's heart stirred, so there was more than one martial artist among this group. This formation seemed impressive, but he didn't know what their purpose was. However, regardless, the other party had delivered themselves to give him a chance to copy skills, which couldn't be missed. Kang Jin-yuk immediately notified the others to prepare for battle. In an instant, the 2 sides clashed, and battle erupted. Among them, Lee Taemin activated the skill Mechanical King, instantly summoning a huge mechanical tank to begin remote suppression. Yu Yeonhwa activated the skill No Retreat. As long as she didn't retreat, she could gain 15% damage reduction to serve as the team's tank. Teresa also entered combat state, as a mobile unit guarding everyone's rear. Finally, Kang Jin-yuk looked at Cheon Yuseong and said, "I need 3 minutes to play something big with them. Can you buy me some time?" A mere 3 minutes is completely unnecessary, because before that, these guys will be defeated by my hands. In battle, Teresa activated Skills Battle Song and Divinity Reinforcement. For 10 minutes, all team members' attributes increased in combat effectiveness. In an instant, Lee Tae-min's artillery became more fierce. Yu Yeonhwa also reaped the battlefield like the god of death. Not to mention, there's also an all-around warrior like Teresa. While Nam Gung-hyun on the side sensed the power gap between the two sides, and knew he had to make his move, just as Cheon Yu-song was cutting through everything in his path. Hearing Nam Gung-hyun's provocation, looks like not all of you are completely useless. A sword fell, and a man suddenly appeared in front of Cheon Yu-song. In an instant, a blade flash swept past Cheon Yu-song. It was Nam Gung-hyun who had been waiting for his chance. Looks like you know how to use a sword a little, but that's about it. However, I can be merciful enough to let you, this rootless mixed swordsman, witness what true swordsmanship from a prestigious family looks like. Suddenly, sword energy burst forth from Nam Gung-hyun's body. In an instant, Nam Gung-hyun unleashed the imperial sword form and struck toward Cheon Yu-song. In the brief clash of blades, Cheon Yu-song's face darkened as he felt tremendous pressure from his opponent's attack. Soon falling into disadvantage with one move, Cheon Yu-song's defense was breached. Nam Gung-hyun seized the opportunity and thrust his sword directly at Cheon Yu-song's face. But at this critical moment, Teresa suddenly appeared in front of Cheon Yu-song, narrowly blocking the strike. At this time, Kang Jin-hyuk also reappeared on the battlefield, saying to Teresa, "Well done." Kang Jin-hyuk immediately activated his skill fire element. Fire waves surged forward, directly surrounding Nam Gung-hyun. However, in Nam Gung-hyun's eyes, these were all just petty tricks that looked down on him. At this moment, Kang Jin-hyuk leaped into the air. Seeing this, Nam Gung-hyun thought to himself that this was an opportunity. In mid-air, it's hard to dodge without leverage. The opponent was seeking death. But just as he was about to act, his feet suddenly stopped, as one of his feet had somehow been frozen to the ground, unable to move. Don't you understand that even extinguished fire needs a second look? Kang Jin-hyuk taunted, while activating his skill Daylight. The next second, dazzling light waves surged from Kang Jin-hyuk's hands straight toward Nam Gung-hyun, just as Nam Gung-hyun was about to take this hit head-on. But the next second, a person leaped high and activated the skill Cross Slash. A cross-shaped bloodlight appeared in mid-air in front of Nam Gung-hyun, actually blocking Kang Jin-hyuk's attack. Seeing this, Kang Jin-hyuk's heart stirred. He hadn't expected that move to finish Nam Gung-hyun anyway. The important thing was to draw out other martial artists like this. At this time, Nam Gung-hyun looked at the man who appeared in front of him and couldn't help but whisper, "Big brother. System notification, you have completed the mission. You have copied the skill Unlimited Steps." Then Kang Jin-hyuk fused Unlimited Steps with a skill Grave of Swords. System notification, you have acquired the skill Sword Steps of the King. Sword Steps of the King increases movement speed by 70%, and can also be used as an attack method. Seeing another S-rank skill, Kang Jin-hyuk smiled. He'd really struck it rich this time. At this moment, the newly appeared spiky-haired man asked his younger brother if he had been hurt just now. The others were teasing, "Our brother Hyun also has days when he gets beaten down, how interesting." Hearing this, Nam Gung-hyun was annoyed, still being stubborn. "If you guys had helped earlier, I could have handled him myself. Anyway, stop arguing. Don't forget the sect leader sent us here to recruit that guy, not kill him." But hearing this, Nam Gung-hyun shook his head. This matter was probably hopeless, because that guy already knew they came from inside the tower and weren't players. Hearing this, the others were surprised. This was truly unexpected. "So, I've been annoyed with that kid for a while now. If we can't recruit him, let's just eliminate him. But wait a minute. Although I know you're angry, we need to leave. The zombie wave has erupted. The zombie tide will arrive in 3 minutes." At this time, Kang Jin-hyuk also urged everyone to hurry up and go where they needed to go. The arena was their territory. "Listen, you brat, don't get cocky. We wouldn't want a garbage stronghold like the arena, even if you gave it to us. Our place is 10,000 times better than yours. Hope you survive the first wave, we'll be back." With that, the people from the Triad began to retreat. However, Kang Jin-hyuk kept his eyes fixed on the direction the Triad was retreating. Their chosen stronghold was a large supermarket. With high walls on all sides and abundant supplies, it was indeed a good stronghold. But this stronghold had a huge flaw. We'll see about that. Next, Lee Tae-min used drones to survey the surrounding situation. He informed everyone that the zombie tide was already close to them. Facing the ocean-like zombie tide, Yu Yeonhwa asked Kang Jin-hyuk if he really wasn't just seeking thrills. "Don't worry, the solar plants I've deployed are much more powerful than ordinary zombie tides." Teresa was stunned. This was the first time she had seen such a large plant tower. "Anyway, let me first explain my battle plan. Our goal is to prevent the zombie tide from occupying the flag in the center of the arena. The arena has 4 entrances: east, south, west, and north. I've already deployed solar plants at all of them. With their power, they can not only easily resist the zombie tide, but we also hope to use the stronghold's huge area to get the maximum rewards. However, although these plants are powerful, they have a 1-minute cooldown period at regular intervals. Our task is to hold off the remaining zombie tide during that 1 minute." Hearing this, Cheon Yu-song directly walked to one side. "Then I'll be responsible for the west direction," Kang Jin-hyuk reminded him. "You better not get bitten. Those things are quite accurate when they bite." "Are you saying I can't even handle those trash zombies?" because you also said earlier that you'd handle those martial artists, but ended up getting beaten up instead." Seeing Kang Jinyuk bringing up sore spots, Cheon Yusong could only respond with a friendly gesture. Then Kang Jinyuk had Lee Taemin stay in the center, using drones to scout and provide support at any time. Yu Yeonhwa and Teresa would guard the north and south entrances respectively. Seeing everything was ready, everyone prepare for battle. At this time, Kang Jinyuk also summoned his twin dragon's sword. He couldn't wait to test the power of these twin swords. System notification: first zombie wave begins. Then, from the moment the first zombie stepped into the arena, behind it emerged a vast zombie tide that stretched beyond the horizon. Countless zombies poured into the arena entrances like madmen. At the same time, the solar plants activated sunlight. In an instant, a huge fireball shot out from the top of the plants. Fire lit up the sky, frantically melting the surrounding zombies. Feeling that amazing power, Yu Yeonhwa was shocked. She felt that if this continued, they wouldn't have anything to do. Soon, the surging zombies had been completely incinerated, and the solar plants also entered cooldown time. But the zombies weren't just one wave. Seeing this, amid the sword-drawing sound of Kang Jinyuk's blade, "Everyone, the real defense battle begins now. Hold on for 1 minute and victory is ours." Looking at Kang Jinyuk behind her, Teresa's heart stirred. As if noticing Teresa's gaze, Kang Jinyuk also responded with a reassuring look. Suddenly, countless memories of going through hardships together with Kang Jinyuk flooded Teresa's mind. Since leaving the guild, she had never felt so at ease. Just as Kang Jinyuk said, for precious companions, what she was doing now was what she should do. So, let's fight for this trust. Through everyone's continuous fighting, Kang Jinyuk's team achieved a small-scale victory. Killing zombies could also drop solar energy, which could be used to upgrade plant towers or plant new plant towers. Kang Jinyuk used the newly acquired solar energy to purchase combative plant, ice plant, rocky plant, and explosive plant seeds, planning to continue expanding the plant towers. 2 combative plant seeds were given to Teresa and Yu Yeonhwa to plant in the east and south directions of the defensive stronghold. The ice and rock seeds were given to Lee Taemin and Cheon Yusong to plant in the center and west direction of the stronghold. As for the final explosive plant, Kang Jinyuk had other plans. At this time, Yu Yeonhwa asked if these seeds could just be planted directly. Kang Jinyuk shook his head. "Time is urgent now. We need to use special methods to grow them to a usable size." With that, Kang Jinyuk took out arid highland cow manure, final autumn leaf, Pentelis dung beetle, gray earthworm, and various other items. Then he mixed these things together to get a large package of indescribable stuff. Then Kang Jinyuk said, "Baby, your dinner is here," and stuffed spoonfuls of the mixture into the plants' mouths. Seeing this scene, Lee Taemin just wanted to say, "Why do I feel like Brother Jinyuk's mental state is a bit off? Anyway, just feed this fertilizer to the plants. I'll leave this task to you all." "So where are you going, Jinyuk?" Kang Jinyuk nodded. "I'm going to clean up some trash nearby. I'll be back soon." So he left Sangam World Cup Stadium alone. As Kang Jinyuk headed toward his target, he also noticed people from other strongholds were moving supplies. He knew this was preparation by large guilds for a prolonged battle to resist 100 waves of zombies. But only rookies would want to fight a prolonged battle here. Kang Jinyuk looked toward an abandoned building. This was exactly his destination, and there was an item he needed here. Soon he pulled down a long cloth covering something unknown in the corner. What appeared behind it was actually an ancient mirror. Seeing this, Kang Jinyuk looked back at the large supermarket stronghold occupied by those martial artists in the distance and sneered. Then, when his finger touched the mirror's surface, it actually melted into it. At the same time, in the food storage warehouse of the supermarket stronghold, an arm suddenly extended from an identical ancient mirror. The next second, Kang Jinyuk actually passed through from the mirror. On the other side, Nam Gung-hyun was still throwing a tantrum about not beating Kang Jinyuk. The blue-haired woman nearby would usually say a few words about Nam Gung-hyun's whining, but this time she was unexpectedly quiet. She said, "We were originally supposed to cultivate forces outside the tower. Since that guy won't submit to discipline, why don't we eliminate him, as Nam Gung-hyun suggested?" This made the spiky-haired leader fall into thought. Honestly, given Kang Jinyuk's strength, he really wanted to recruit him. But as his companion said, keeping him might be a disaster. But just as he was considering this, a violent tremor came from all around. Everyone was shocked, and then they saw someone running over in panic, saying that something had happened to their food storage warehouse. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge plant broke through the floor and rose from the ground. In the smoke and dust, a figure appeared and said, "My cherry saw you had too much stored food and was worried you'd get indigestion, so it ate it all for you. Why don't you quickly thank the cherry?" The arrival was Kang Jinyuk. Seeing this, the spiky-haired man was stunned, especially seeing that the plant was still continuously destroying the stronghold, which made him urgently tell Kang Jinyuk to stop. "You bastard, you know what stupid thing you're doing?" Kang Jinyuk picked his ear. "You mean that queen thing?" Hearing this, the others were shocked. How did this guy know? Kang Jinyuk continued. "Before the third wave, once a large stronghold with more than 200 defenders is destroyed, the fourth floor's ruler, the Mother of the Death, will appear. That's the so-called queen. I was worried about finding such a large stronghold before. But fortunately, here it is right in front of me. Are you crazy? You know that even if all current players unite, they can't beat you, and you still want to summon her? What exactly do you want to do? Hearing this, Kang Jinyak sneered, "Don't compare me to you guys. As for my purpose, because I'm too lazy to play this zombie game 100 times. With that, Kang Jinyak patted the violent plant and left it with destruction orders. The next second, he leaped up and jumped directly out of the stronghold, so you guys better sacrifice yourselves obediently. Seeing this, Namgung Hyun still wanted to chase after him, but the next second, vines shot up from the ground everywhere. System notification, large supermarket stronghold has collapsed. Suddenly, an unusual tremor quickly spread throughout the 4th floor. Chin Yuzong whispered, "I feel like something bad is about to happen. System notification, special event triggered." At the same time, in the depths of the 4th floor, in the zombie headquarters, a female zombie gradually awakened. Her eyes looked forward as if seeing all the players on the 4th floor. System notification, to punish weak humans, the 4th floor's master Pandariel begins to act. At this time, Kang Jinyak came to a high-rise building. He didn't just want to introduce a boss of this tower defense game. He wanted to add some spice to it. What appeared in his hand was the Solar Eclipse Stone obtained from the 3rd floor. The Solar Eclipse Stone can block sunlight and reduce all light attribute abilities by 50% in darkness, while increasing dark attribute abilities by 100%. In an instant, Kang Jinyak crushed the Solar Eclipse Stone. A solar eclipse like dark light began to gradually cover the sun. When the solar eclipse fully began, all zombies under the eclipse felt a power bursting within their bodies. Teresa, being of light attribute, felt quite ominous. She could feel her divine power weakening by half out of nowhere. The Solar Eclipse Stone's enhancement also affected the boss Pandariel. She was instantly furious. She was summoned because humans were weak and lost their stronghold, and now humans were unknowingly enhancing her attribute power, which was completely provoking her. System notification, the 4th floor's master is watching you. The 4th floor's master declares a targeted attack on your stronghold. Kang Jinyak smiled and said very good, then calmly uploaded 2 videos to the forum. The first video indicated that the boss appeared because the Triad failed to defend their stronghold, after making players disgusted with the Triad. The second video publicly announced, "I'm here to clean up the Triad's mess," earning himself a wave of popularity. Seeing the second video already climbing to the top 10 of the video rankings in a short time, Yu Yunhwa and the others were indeed stunned. This was madness, but having just a few of them fight the boss seemed a bit much. Given the situation, Cheon Yusong wasn't dwelling on it. He just asked Kang Jinyak if he had any way to solve this huge trouble he had caused. Kang Jinyak's first sentence was, "Of course I have a way to solve the boss," which made Cheon Yusong breathe a sigh of relief. But the next second, Kang Jinyak pointed his finger. "Right at Cheon Yusong, but my plan needs your help." Suddenly, Cheon Yusong felt an ominous feeling. So not long after, Pandariel led a group of cavalry and had already arrived at Sangam World Cup Stadium. Then, with her command to execute, the zombies instantly ran toward the stadium entrance like madmen. The defensive facilities already deployed in the stadium immediately launched attacks. But even though the plant tower's firepower was strong, the enhanced zombies clearly had resistance to their attacks. Pandariel just walked forward calmly like this. Soon the plant towers were defeated, and Pandariel also reached the center of the stadium. But her gaze locked on. What appeared before her was actually an iceberg. And sealed within the iceberg was exactly the human she was supposed to execute. Before she could figure out what was happening, a crystal fell from the iceberg. Pandariel naturally took it in her hand. Time went back to not long ago. After hearing Kang Jinyak's plan, Cheon Yusong cursed, "You're really damned," then reluctantly transferred 100,000 gold coins to Kang Jinyak. That's right, Cheon Yusong's biggest role was to provide financial support for Kang Jinyak's upcoming plan. Kang Jinyak then used these gold coins to purchase a large number of special items, and said, "Next, all of us will become bait." Hearing that he spent money and still had to become bait, Cheon Yusong was stunned. But Kang Jinyak smiled. "Let me correct that. Not bait, but a killing device," saying as he held up a crystal. At this moment, what Pandariel held in her hand was exactly that lure crystal. Suddenly, dazzling light shone from the crystal. Then Splendid Ice Prison activated, and a huge ice prison instantly covered the stadium. All the zombies inside, including Pandariel, were sealed within. But did Jiang Zhen's team solve the boss of the 4th floor so quickly?